Joey the queen, ain't no keeping it realer. My stomach stay lean, but that booty be thicker. I'm cuffed with my hubby and snuffing your hitter. My pen is the clip and my finger the trigger. Megan the Stallion and Joey the Panther. I stand on the front lines, I'm holding the banners. I'm pressing the buttons and turning the channels to reset the system to challenge my grammar. Stage show mean, keep the crowd higher than the weed. Got Kendro heading up.
Sorry, I think I messed that up. I still have to figure that out. My bad. What is going on, baby gorgeous gang? Welcome to Justifiably Jordan. This is a very special edition of the show. We have some very, very special conversation happening today, and I'm very excited. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm so sorry that I've been all over and sporadic the last few days. There have been a lot of things going on. I have had a lot of things going on. I'll just put it like that. And I appreciate you all for being here. So we're going to power through, we're going to push through, and we are going to keep the content coming because I am here for every single one of you, and I appreciate all of you for taking the time out to come and kick it with me. As I like to say, taking the time, feeling the vibe, and having a seat with me. So, we are here to have a very special conversation about race today, and I am going to conduct a conversation that I've been wanting to see on television for a long time. And if anybody has seen me on Hot Messy Topics recently, you guys have heard me say that I would love to have a conversation or see a conversation had about um about seeing white people, who were raised a certain way or naturally inclined to be a certain way, and watch them learn to be different, watch them unlearn all of those behaviors and like actually learn how to be anti-racist, right? I was hoping that one day we would see all of that conversation, but I don't think it's actually going to happen on TV, so I decided to conduct the conversation myself, right? And the person who I want to have that conversation with today is someone who reached out to me to actually have that conversation. I know that it is the conversation that I wanted to have, and it is someone who reached out to me and told me that they were looking to get that out into the zeitgeist, right? Oh my God, thank you so much, Kiki. Kiki says she left T.S. Madison's live for this. Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm a huge fan of T.S. Madison and I love her so much. She actually follows me on Twitter. That doesn't mean she has any idea who I am, but she's followed me on Twitter for a long time. So I really love T.S. Madison. She's an inspiration for me, but that's a whole different story. Um, so yeah, I wanted to have that conversation because there is such a hype around cancel culture and such a hype around, you know, engaging in the conflict and not ever getting to the other side where the resolution happens. And so I want to always make sure that I extend the full conversation or at least the as much brevity of the conversation as I can muster, right? So you're right, Shane, but I am going to bring up The1 Christin. You guys may know her in the YouTube streets as Kristen is the math nerd. If you want her to explain that, then you guys can drop down in the comments and have her explain that to you guys. But yeah, thank you so much, MJ. I really appreciate you, baby. Thank you so much, baby gorgeous, for being here. And I'm going to see if Kristen is ready. Are we ready, babe? We good? Are we in the spot? Oh, we got to get her back in. But while we're waiting for her, I'm just gonna thank you guys for being here again. Thank you so much, Shane. Hey, everybody. Thank you, Baby Gorgeous Gang, for being in the room. All right, I think we are ready. We're good? Thumbs up? All righty. Adding Kristen is a math nerd to the stream. Hey, Baby Gorgeous.
Hi. Sorry about that. I don't know what button I hit on my phone, and then all of a sudden everything was like, "You're in privacy mode," and I was like, "How?" I don't know
That's
how to
not
hit
right.
that. Yeah.
No, I completely understand. I'm still learning how to use StreamYard. So sometimes and like depending on which way my phone is turned, I will accidentally click end instead of more to go and add a comment or something, and I'll just jump out of the whole I'll just be like, no, wait, hold on. Luckily they asked me, do I want to end the live before they just cut the cameras. Dead ass. Clock your references, children. But girl, listen. Sorry, y'all. My nose
No,
done had to
it's
run as soon as I click live chat. I done messed
we're hitting
around.
cold and allergy and flu season, so less
And
COVID.
listen,
It's like
child, I'm going through it today. But I wanted to
I
start
think
this off by thanking you. So yes, love her so much. Make sure y'all follow her podcast Vibe Rant, the series. I'll put a banner up for that while introducing Kristen. But I just wanted to thank you for being here and thank you for reaching out and wanting to have this conversation because, like, the people don't know, but like, we know, like, we talk every day. Like,
yeah,
we literally talk every single day. And so when you reached out to me to want to have this conversation, I was really honored because, we all came together throughout the, Adam Jason Kempire streets. And so for us to link up together and want to have this conversation at the same time is so exciting for me because this is something, like I said, if it's not going to be Stassi, then who's it going to be? Do you know what I mean? Like, if it's not going to be Stassi, then who? Because
yeah,
I feel like Stassi is the only person who is going to be palatable enough to have this conversation for the audience that we want it to get to.
yeah. I think
So,
I think for a lot of viewers, and like we came from the, both of us kind of like we all came together from Real Housewives. So I think for a lot of viewers, the time to have this conversation was last year. And the fact that it didn't
100%.
get had last year and then didn't get had this year, and now we're going into filming, or, they're filming now for next year. It's like clearly we've reached a point where we're never going to see it. So rather than waiting for someone to do it, it's like we just have to take the initiative and be like, you know what, you guys need to recognize that people do want to see it. People can have the conversation. People can do it without getting defensive or without getting offensive or
Hmm.
attacking, and they can do it in a way that's authentic. And when you have two people who have respect for one another, it doesn't become combative.
Yeah. And I don't think that we would have gotten excuse me. Y'all know I'm a pig. I'm sorry. I apologize. Y'all know I burp in videos. Y'all know I curse and I sneeze and I holler. I'm sorry. I'm working on it. But New York was the perfect opportunity to have this conversation. New
Yeah.
York was the perfect opportunity because there was a place where Ebony could have come in as somebody who isn't combative to have the conversation with Ramona, who isn't necessarily racist. They're just racially unaware and
I,
just ignorant
I
AF.
disagree. I disagree. I flat out
I'm
think that
trying,
Ramona's racist. I flat
and
out think that. And I think it because I look like
go
me.
ahead.
I look like me. I understand
Hmm.
that coded language because
Hmm.
that's it. I mean, that's my life.
I'm
I
trying to
understand
give
it.
people the benefit of
So
the doubt. That's all. Now, mind you,
you give it
I do have
every
some very
day.
explicit opinions.
You give the benefit of the doubt all day, every day, twice on Sunday. That's fine. I'll say it. Luann with blackface knew exactly what she was doing. Ramona with the help and oh, look at all the servants. She knew what she was doing. These women are baby boomers. They were alive as children during the civil rights movement, and they were seeing their own contemporaries, as adults having to come up out of and through the rise of politically correct language. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, this is where we're at now. It's completely ridiculous to even to, in my opinion, it is completely ridiculous to pretend that because they didn't use an epithet that they didn't use language that meant what they wanted to say.
100. 100%. I agree with that 100% because I will always drive home every single time that I open my mouth in these YouTube streets. I will always say that impact will override intention. So you don't have to call me the N word to imply that you feel that I am less than you. You don't have
Yeah.
to say that. You don't have to say the words angry black woman in tandem for you to imply that the reason you are calling me angry is because I look like this and not that. Do you
Yeah.
understand? Like, I am all like, and that's what I try to do with my side. I have very stern and firm opinions. However,
Mm,
I
no.
want to leave. No, I think I'm always on the fence about everything, right? I think I never stick to a decision. However, I do want to always leave the door open for me to be proven wrong or for somebody to be given an education. So I never want to just flat out stamp somebody on YouTube, but I do always want to point out every single solitary thing that they do that makes people think the things that they are thinking. Do you get
Yeah.
what I mean? It's
Yeah. I
like
think it's,
I'm not gonna say it, but I'm gonna lay all these cards out and let y'all build the house your damn selves.
I think the reason that systemic racism and societal prejudice is so insidious is because we have accepted coded language and bigoted nuance as acceptable language. And
Ebony
and
just
we
posted a
we've
perfect comment
accepted that.
about that.
We've accepted that. So people can say things that are horrifically offensive to another person, and as long as they're not cursing or name calling or I mean, continue on down that, avenue. As long as
Hmm.
they're not doing that, it's okay. It's like, no, free speech, protects you from the government saying you're not allowed to say things. But free speech does not mean that we all have to tolerate, what you're saying, or that there are no consequences for that. Like
I always put it like this. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
you still have to be aware of the space in which you are speaking.
Hmm. I always say it like this, like freedom of speech may protect you from the court of law, but it is not going to protect you from the court of public opinion.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, and in some cases, if you want to keep it like all the way funky, the court of public opinion sometimes does influence the court of law if you don't watch yourself,
Yeah.
especially in cases that involve celebrity.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people who think that just because they're on a celebrity platform that they're going to have it taken easier on them because they're a celebrity. This ain't the old Hollywood studio days where like the network or the movie studio comes and saves you and they manipulate the media to drive the narrative. This is a different day. The audience drives everything. The audience has the power. If there is no one watching, if there is no one clicking, if there is no one following, if there is no one subscribing, then no one has a show, no one has a dollar in their pocket. Do you
Yeah.
get what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like now it's about influencing the audience. And with social media being involved, which is going to play into the live that I'm going to do later about has social media helped or hindered our society, now the audience recognizes what power they have. Now the network just doesn't know anymore. Now the studios don't just know anymore. Now the audience knows what power they have because they can go to social media and spin it, spin it, spin it, and it can go. We've seen it
Yeah.
happen so many different times.
Yeah. Well, I think, um I guess for our conversation today, a good
Hmm.
place for me to start would be like explaining where I come from, so I can kind of talk about how I got to this point in my life, that
100%.
I can say I feel comfortable saying I'm an ally, whereas just several years back, I would never have accepted that as a moniker that would describe me. So,
100%. I was gonna say, I feel like the best place is to start at the beginning, because one thing that I always try to drive home as somebody who wants to leave the door open for um, reformation, if you will, is that ignorant behavior, racism, homophobia, transphobia, all the synonyms and things alike, those things are learned. They're not like inherited through DNA. Now, they may be taught through the people who gave you that DNA, but it's not something that is like embedded in your bloodstream. Do you get what I mean? It's something
yeah,
that is influenced in your mind. So if it's something that is learned, it is something that can be unlearned.
yeah.
So I think that that is the absolute 100% best place to start, is to show where the influence came from and show how somebody can be, especially as a child in their most impressionable stages, taught to think that these things are normal, because who's going to question their parents? Do you get what I
Yeah.
mean? Who's going to question the authorities in their life who are guiding them in what they assume to be the best way, because these are the people who have their best interests at heart, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna relinquish the floor to you, and I'm just gonna let you, do y'all thing. If you know me, y'all know I got my triangle ready. So if things get intense, we are ready. We are with the things today. And once again, thank you for being here. And this is a
So
safe space, love.
let's see. Okay. So I'm 39 and I'm a white woman. I'm a daughter of a white woman. I'm married to a white man. Um, my children are white. Like, so I'm from a white family. Okay.
Hmm.
And I may have been born into a white family and, lived in predominantly white areas, but my life is not all white. Okay.
Hmm.
So, I I learned the only as an adult about the things I grew up learning, not just from family, but from people in our community and friends, especially from my peers as I got older, like into, being into the teenage years. A lot of that stuff that I did not realize was actually a lesson. Like, my stepfather, whenever I talk about my dad, that's my stepfather. He's
Hmm.
not white. He's not an
Hmm.
American. But
Hmm.
he did not become my dad until childhood was halfway over. Until, toward like 2/3 of childhood was behind me, before
Yeah.
he became my dad. And a lot of things had already happened and a lot of lessons had already learned. And then because my dad comes from an Asian immigrant family, a lot of Eastern Asia has its own racist past and a racist present that has to be, acknowledged as well. So,
100%.
um, going back, I don't remember like anyone ever specifically saying anything racist to me, like as a child. It was more that like the way things were said, the
Hmm.
the nuance behind what was said, and then just lessons taught to children through the natural course of their childhood, which make an impression. Like my grandmother loved Winnie the Pooh. So I grew up with, like when my mom was doing her army thing and going to school and working her 3 jobs, you know,
Right.
like my grandmother would watch us and she would read stories to us, just like any grandmother would. Both of my grandparents read to us. My grandmother loved reading Winnie the Pooh. My grandmother, or she loved reading Told Under the Magic Umbrella. Those were the books that I, really and truly identified with,
Hmm.
from childhood. my grandfather read Uncle Remus. My
Mm.
grandfather read Brer Rabbit and the Tar Baby. That was read to me on my grandparents' porch from the time I was 5 years old. So I grew up. Now, a lot of people have said that those stories aren't racist, that they are actually the opposite. They used Southern storytelling to teach the opposite lesson. I don't believe that. Just for me, when I look at those type of stories, I'm a 39-year-old woman. For the last 4 decades of my life, those stories, I don't look at that and think, oh, a tiny little doll painted with tar, could that possibly mean anything that wasn't, like, how could you possibly paint that in a positive light? So, but it's also, even acknowledging that those stories actually framed the story of my childhood. It matters.
Mhm.
And, I grew up and I did not, my family, my mom, we did not have money. After she, married my dad and I went into, became a teenager, we still didn't have any money. And then there were more mouths to feed. So we did not have money. And my parents worked all the time. They put themselves through school. So, like, my parents did the best that they could. But because of the fact that they were gone so much, I did a lot of activities. And, I was at school from 6:30 in the morning to 6 at night because keeping me busy kept us, off the streets. So, like, when my friends became the people that I kind of learned the later lessons with. And even though I had friends who, I had a close friend who was a Mexican immigrant. I had, friends who were Black. I had friends that, were Asian. I had a diverse group of friends that always made me think I didn't have any behaviors that were racist, when in reality, what happened was they were silent because our friendship was predicated on their silence and tolerating however their white friends chose to behave. And let me just tell you, there were repeated instances of my childhood where I look back and it isn't even appalled, it is a deep sense of shame.
I understand that
It is a
100%.
deep sense of shame. So if I cry, it is not because I want anybody to be like, oh, Kristen, it's okay. It's not okay. I don't need anybody to say that. If I get upset or get emotional, it is guilt. That's all that is. It's not because I know a lot of people will, and I'm saying that because I know a lot of white people will use their tears because people are uncomfortable when others cry, and they'll use their
There's
tears.
an
Yeah.
That's what I was about to speak to. There's an entire narrative surrounding the white woman's tears
Yeah,
that
and
a white
I don't
woman
want
will
any of that. So
use. She will use her
yeah.
tears and her crying to get out of the implications that are being placed on her. And I want to
So
I'm glad that you addressed that, because I was going to speak on that when I backed you up and said that while that is a narrative, this is somebody who reached out to me to have this conversation. I didn't like, it's not like I put out a tweet and was like, "Hey, if you want to talk about, you know, being racist and not being racist anymore, or you're
yeah,
not, or not, wanting to have these certain inclinations run your thought process about people of different skin complexions, hit me in the DMs." Like, it's not like I put out for this. She
no,
reached out to me and said that she wanted to have this conversation. So I can understand how someone who, while I commend you being willing and brave enough to step into this space and have this conversation, because you automatically know that there's going to be a lot of people hitting you with a whole bunch of side eyes and like, girl, what now?
Oh yeah, I know.
And so I appreciate you knowing that and going into that and being like, I understand all of that and all of that is necessary and the thought process behind it is validated. But and however, I hope that me giving the full story allows one perspective to be heard in the greater narrative that needs to be had. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
So go
and
ahead.
the reason I say about like the tears is because my words are going to trigger people and they're going to cause pain, and I, whether I cry, you cry, just somebody watching cries, whether people are offended or just hurt, like a lot of times me listening to me share a story could cause somebody to relive an experience for themselves, because it's going to cause me to relive an experience for myself. And I don't really look at these as well. At the time I didn't recognize it for what it is. The fact that I recognize it now makes it an emotional thing. So
I completely understand what you're saying, because when you spoke to, it wasn't necessarily that you having certain behaviors were okay. It was just more so that your friends of color were just silent about it. That hit me
yeah.
because I am a person who, while I have grown up in a lot of pro blackness, I have also grown up in a lot of open mindedness as well. So throughout my life, I've been a person who has not really had a group of friends. I've just had like one singular friend that I rode out with, and that was the one person that you always saw me with, right? That person was usually white growing up. Like, if I go back and think to the most consistent best friends that I've had throughout my life, the majority of them, with the exception of one, has always been someone who is Caucasian, right? Now, mind you, I don't say that to say that every white friend that I've had have done racist things that I've just excused. That is not what I'm saying. But as a child, I do really distinctly recall having situations where I would be thinking, when one of my white friends who hangs with a bunch of people of color, because when I was growing up, we were like a really multicultural, like my best friend was the person who I was hanging with, but we all hung out in a group of friends together, right? And that group was very multicultural. There was a person of every single shade, like every single color, complexion, religion, like everybody was in the room, right? And it was never that we had conversations of race. It was just that we were growing up in hip hop culture, where a lot of things were excused because that person grew up around us, right?
Yeah.
So if you can recall black people in the chat having that one white person that like was in the group with like all of the white friends, so we excused them saying the N-word because we knew that they weren't racist, like they were one of us. I was never cool with that. Like, I was never the one that was like, yeah, girl, she cool. She can say no. Like, but I was also never the person who was like, that ain't cool, ma.
Yeah.
Because I am somebody who is open minded enough the to leave the knowledge of intention and let that override the impact of what the action is actually doing. Now, mind you, I've grown up since then, and I really don't play that shit now. However, back then, I distinctly remember having those conversations with myself in my mind where I was like, "This ain't cool," and I don't like that. Like, I don't care if you are singing along with a lyric, or if you are talking to your black boyfriend, like that does not matter to me. It is not okay.
Yeah.
So to your point, I completely get what you mean by that. Please
Well, and
continue. I'm sorry.
expanding on what something that you had just said was the anecdote that I was kind of going to share, which the trigger warning. Okay. So I'm not going to share like specific jokes, just I think people can infer what likely was joked about and talked about, and the way it was talked about, based off of the one friend in my friend group, happened to be white, who was deeply offensive, even making everybody uncomfortable, but people still laughed and just kind of went, oh, that's just so and so, you know, even though it was wrong and we knew it was wrong. We were kids, so it almost became, oh yeah, okay, well, we know it was wrong, but like, so is stealing, and check out my new pack of gum. Like,
Oh, girl, yes.
like, how
Yes.
kids are, especially
Mhm.
teenagers. Yeah, sure, mom, my friend's parents are totally going to be at the party without alcohol. Like, come on. Like, we all
One quick
know.
second. Hold on one quick second because I want to answer this comment before it gets too far in the conversation. Rounds one said, so Jordan, are you saying that intention doesn't count? No, I'm not saying that intention doesn't count, but what I'm saying is that the majority of people and their perception, they're not going to automatically look for the intention. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm one of those people who is understanding enough, and I am going to step outside of the impact and look for the intention first, but not a lot of people are going to do that. Not a lot of people are that gracious, and not that many people are that understanding. Some people are just going to hear the way that they heard it, and they're going to just assume that that's the way that you meant it. Do you get what I'm saying? There's not a lot of people who are going to ask you after you say something that is offensive, especially when it's racially inclined. Hey, what did you mean by that? Do you get what I mean? So there's a lot of sensitivity that comes with impact versus intention. And while I can understand that somebody intended something some way, not a lot of people are going to look for that, especially when you say something that is immediately triggering for them. Do you get what I'm saying? And there is something that someone always told me, and they always said that the road to hell was paved with good intentions, right? So just because somebody intended good on doing something does not mean that the result of it was not really bad. Do you
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? So, there's a lot of consideration that needs to take place that not everybody takes, and I just want to make sure that I acknowledge that and acknowledge that that doesn't happen, hopefully, so that when people hear this, they will remember to think about that. So if something like that happens, they automatically think, before I trip or before I punch them in the face or before I go off, let me stop and make sure that this ain't what you meant. Because if this is what you meant, then we can take it here, but I don't want it to go left when it really could have just kept going straight or went right. Do you get what
Yeah.
I mean? Not every moment that could have been a confrontation, that could have been turned into a learning lesson. And not everybody will step outside of themselves and take that opportunity. Do you get what I mean? So that is what I meant by that. Please continue. I'm sorry, sweetheart.
Okay. So again, trigger warning. This friend of our group,
Mhm.
who was white, would make a joke, and it would get sometimes snickers, sometimes racist laughter, sometimes crickets. But they said it more than once, and it became a joke they were known for. And this person would joke, please understand, I grew up in Texas. Okay. So this is not a joke that in some areas of the country, nobody would have laughed. So you have to, I'm letting you guys know where I grew up so that you'll
Mhm.
understand the
Full context.
geographic context of a teenage person feeling, which obviously they themselves had to learn this from somewhere. Take that with what you will. I never heard anything like this at home from me, but I did hear it obviously in my friend group, where
Mhm.
him saying, I have two ropes in my locker, the first to hang them with, and the second in case the first one breaks.
Mhm.
That was a joke they got told over and over again, to the point where even now, multiple decades later, I remember it with perfect clarity, remember the times that I heard it, you know? And like things like that, when you grow up and that's the humor that gets bantered about, and I know adults heard it, nobody ever told him never to say that again. I know that I know that, you know, I went to a 6A school, so there were thousands of kids at my school. Like, it's one of those things that there were a lot of kids, and he was a popular kid. He was a popular kid. He was popular with the athletes, you know, like he was popular with student government, with the most. And I went to a school where you had to have good grades in order to distinguish yourself. So, like, actually, like those organizations were like, those were where the rich kids were, the ones that were, you know, their parents could afford to send them to Harvard. They belonged to the National Honor Society. Us poor kids, we didn't, because we weren't going to Harvard because our parents couldn't pay for that. So, like, this kid was tolerated by the athletes. He was tolerated by, you know, the rich kids. He was tolerated by the student government leaders. I mean, he was in with everyone. And he told that joke, and so many other jokes got told a lot. And nobody said, don't say that again. That's offensive, to include me. I never said that. I never told him it was offensive. I never told him that it bothered me. I never said anything. And even though at the time I was very uncomfortable with it, I never said anything, you know? And you have to be from Texas to know where the humor was in that. There isn't. You have to agree. You have to think that stuff is funny for it to be funny. There's no humor in that. There's no humor in that. And
that is my exact response
as an adult, recognize that men and boys who share that type of humor, where it's nobody could stand up to them, do it. It's a power trip as well.
To your point, KNIKIA said they would say that same joke here in Indiana. And I'm sure that I would hear that same joke in certain parts of Georgia. I'm sure that, especially with how North Carolina is politically driven, I'm sure that outside of Fayetteville, where I'm from, I'm sure that I would hear that in certain areas of North Carolina as well.
It's like I said, and I'm using that anecdote without sharing the other jokes.
Right.
And not saying that it was the worst joke. Not saying it was the best joke. You know, I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying that there were ones that were even more offensive or ones that were less offensive, because it doesn't matter. All that does is justify it to some degree, and I don't think any degree is okay at this point. So
that's just the one that's most prevalent to you in the moment.
Yeah, it highlights it in the most clear way.
Right.
Okay, of like, not that you can grow up racist and it doesn't have to come from your family. So for me, it grew, you know, I grew up racist and it didn't come from my family to myself. Now I look back and see things my own family did where I'm like, oh my God, my grandfather, you know, said X, Y, and Z. How did I not see that? And I know why I didn't see it. Because in the family, my grandfather defended civil rights lawsuits. He was an attorney. He was from Georgia, and he fought for civil rights. So how could he be racist? Except guess what? The white savior is racist too. So I'm just telling you that a lot of white people will do things like that, even though they actually are attacking like the systemic racism. They still look at themselves as above and better than. So just because somebody says that they agree with it or they agree with you doesn't mean that they really do in practice.
Just because they agree with you doesn't necessarily mean that they align with you.
And if you guys really want like a perfect example of like we're from Real Housewives, of a white person who uses allyship as um a weapon to extend and then remove.
If you're finna say who I think you're finna say, I am going to
Leah?
fall backward.
Leah McSweeney? Yes, I
Ding, ding,
am.
ding, 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 ding. We see each other.
Leah
Listen,
McSweeney, who
to your point,
she
she
used
is
it to
now.
be relevant. She
Mhm.
used having a black friend to be relevant, except I'm sure a lot of other people will also notice that she really doesn't like look at her social media. She doesn't have that many black friends. You know,
Right.
she
And
posts
it's
pictures
so
of friends.
crazy. It's so crazy because it's so interesting how throughout the season, her and Leah were sisters and she's friends and she has all of these alleged friends in the hip hop industry and like all of this stuff. And mind you, I was looking on her Instagram the other day. I don't know how I got there, but I know exactly how I got there. I was
Boredom.
on Dream Doll's Instagram. Actually, I was looking on Dream Doll's Instagram and there was a video of them at the dentist and they were doing this weird like TikTok reel video of them at the dentist doing some stupid ass dance and I was like, "Why is Leah McSweeney at the dentist with Dream Doll? Like how do y'all know each other? Like what
PR
does that
stuff.
even mean?" It was
They probably have the
so
same
weird to me.
publicist. I don't know.
I was like, "Who like who if it just
Yeah.
raises so many questions for me. But a
But,
lot of people are also saying Kim Zolciak as well. She's another great example of that.
well, and I mean, you can also look at like Brandy Glanville, okay, who sat down and had a whole scene with her best friend who is black discussing how Brandy is not racist, but how she treated Joyce was 100% racist. It wasn't racist in the same way because her black friend is not going to be the target of her behavior. And at the same time, like the way that a black person is targeted by racism is very different from how a person from Puerto Rico would be targeted by racism because they're not the same.
Exactly.
It's not the
The
same.
nuance is different.
It is. And, so we saw that and they literally used Brandy's one black friend because, every white person has a black friend.
As that one
But,
black friend, excuse me, y'all, my wig is tight. Don't judge me.
but Brandy's friend was used so that the network could say Brandy isn't racist and they could paint Joyce as essentially playing the race card unnecessarily, which is
And this is why I have such a big issue with Bershawn. Because
who
I
lives in
feel
DC
like
and not New York.
oh, ho, ho, ho.
She lives in DC. She does
So
not live in New York. I don't.
So the girls in Potomac wasn't jocking her, so she slid up to the dead. Anyway, this ain't about that. But I feel the same way about Brashawn because I feel like she had an opportunity to stand up and back up another black woman in that moment when there were times where she should have spoken from another black woman's perspective, even if she didn't necessarily understand it to a T, even if that wasn't her experience. There was not that was not the time to leave someone who you more align with than anybody else in that room isolated and by themselves.
Well, I
And
think
that to me made me think that if she were on the show without Ebony there to call out all of this mess, Ramona would be sitting around here calling the people to help and looking at all these servants and doing all of this stuff. And Brashawn would sit there and kiki and say nothing.
I don't
That's why I have
know.
an issue with
I don't.
Brashawn.
I don't know if I necessarily read that much into it with Bershawn. I look
I'm
at.
I'm just a Virgo,
I
so my Virgo is Virgoing.
honestly, I was so infuriated by how Ebony was cast as the most palatable black woman they could find. Like that's, I mean, literally, like who else were they going to bring on? Omarosa? Like, come on, Candace Owens? No, they found another powerful young female Black professional who worked for Fox News, and they cast her in New York to, go head to head with Ramona and Luann and Sonia. And it's like, okay, but I don't think that what they did is something that anybody should ignore, because that's like, they chose who they chose, because not because they wanted to highlight Ebony, but because they wanted Ebony to be there in relation to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, to make it easier for Ramona to be around a Black person, why
And
does it have to be
Ebony,
easier for Ramona?
and this
That's
is
why
why
I was
Ebony is such an icon. Ebony is such an icon. And this is why I feel like they brought Brashawn in. This is my Virgoing. Like, I am overly analytical by nature, so I will think way too deep into everything. This is why I really should start doing actual conspiracy theories, because
okay.
and all I'm saying is, just a silly side note for this. My Real Housewives of Beverly Hills conspiracy may actually be right, because I did read something on Twitter the other day where Kathy Hilton said that her and I think Garcelle were both working on a spinoff. Not together, but each of them had a separate spinoff that they were working on. And I think maybe Garcelle confirmed it. It was something I saw on Twitter. So I posted in the comments the link to my conspiracy theory video and was like, listen, all I'm saying, I ain't saying I'm psychic. I'm just saying that I'm a Virgo and I be reading stuff, okay? But this is what I mean about Bershawn, because E- Ebony spoke to the fact that she was an affirmative action casting. She knew that she was there to diversify the cast in the most palatable way possible. So she cast somebody who she felt she said that they cast somebody who, I'll paraphrase and say that this is what I got from her quote. She basically said that they cast somebody who she felt like could go over with the white audience but still bring attention to race that the black people would agree with on New York, right? She felt like she was the perfect balance of that, right?
Okay, let me
Now,
just
what I
say
felt
this.
like they go ahead,
I'm so sorry. Can I just interrupt you really quick? I want
go
to
for it,
address Bravo and NBC executives directly.
go for it.
Television does not have to be segregated. It's okay to have cast of more than one race around each other. It's okay. We do it in corporate America. I'm sure your offices even have a few, but stop segregating people on TV and telling us that's what we want to see when it's a bunch of old white men who made that decision. Okay, I'm
And
done.
Ebony spoke to that. And Ebony spoke directly to that, which is why I love her so much as a casting for that. But to the contradiction of Bravo and maybe NBC's point, I feel like what they expected to get with Ebony was not what they got with Ebony, right? She wasn't jocking the whole palatable white the whole palatable black woman thing, right?
No, because
So
of
they
how they
brought
came at
in
her at freaking when they had the okay, how they came out of the gate, all right, when with how Leah went after Heather Thompson, and that first weekend, that first like interaction, that was so just like, whoa, what's going on here? Do you realize they literally met that day? That
Mhm.
was the first day they met.
I remember because
They had
I
spent
follow
4 days
Ebony very
together.
closely on social media. Well, like, not that I stalk her, right? But like, I only get on social media to actually check on a couple people, and Ebony is always one of them. Who's like page I actually type in her name and go to, right? And I remember when they were filming the show, and I remember her posting in that outfit saying that she's on the way to go and meet the women. Right? Like, I remember that. I remember that it was the first time that they had ever been in the same room with each other. Like, I remember all of that. And then to see it on the show, and she kept saying the entire time that they were as advertised. And I was like, okay.
It's because they're not really friends. None of them really are friends. They are paid to pretend that they're friends for the show, but they are coworkers. They don't know each other. They don't like each other. They're paid to tolerate each other. And they only have to do it for 16 weeks, which is what gets the, and then, you know, if they need to do reshoots or, you know, taglines, PR, and the reunion. So for less than half the year, they tolerate each other. The other 6 months, they pretend they don't exist.
Yes, Ebony. My answer to that is yes. But yes, for 6 months out of the year, they freaking tolerate each other, and then they do whatever they do. But I think that there was also more to her saying that they were as advertised, because I think that,
Oh my
and
God,
this is
I
just
just
my
saw this.
opinion.
I just saw the comment. Should
You
every
just read the
Black
comment?
person have one white friend? Yes. And you should say that you're gentrifying your friend group.
Yes.
You should be
Yes,
like,
you
yeah,
should.
see, look, we have one white friend. We're gentrifying. That way you can make fun of all of it. Because I
Reclaim the
fully
affirmative
believe,
action play.
heck yeah, if you
Go
have
for
to
it.
represent every Black person that has ever lived or
Then
existed,
make every white person represent all
exactly.
white people when they
You know
come into
what?
your friend group. Absolutely.
But if you
Yes.
ask me to justify Trump, we're gonna be here a while. I'm just saying.
Okay. But like, that's what I mean when I say that this is why they brought Vershawn in, just to, before we get back to the real shit. I feel like somebody at Bravo and NBC possibly didn't look past Ebony's experience after Fox News. I feel like they
Oh,
saw that she
totally.
worked for
Yeah.
Fox News, and then that was it. I feel like they haven't seen all the work that she's done after that, with her podcast Holding Court, her job on State of the Culture on Revolt, her hosting Revolt Black News, like all the stuff that she's done. She's literally like in these streets.
Well,
Do you
and
get
it
me?
definitely goes to show that they didn't watch any of the broadcasts where she was a contributing journalist on Fox News
On
either.
Fox News, because
Because
she
if
was
they had
still in the
actually
streets on
watched it,
Fox News.
yeah, if they had actually
Like, she
watched
wasn't
it,
Candace Owens on Fox News.
yeah, except she did it like in a way that was so completely different. Candace Owens. Okay, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this without it being okay, Shane, I think that the Bershawn thing that you're talking about there, honestly, I think it was envy. I think Bershawn is jealous of Ebony. Ebony is beautiful. Ebony is successful. Ebony is very well known. Her career is on the up, you know, is on going up, and that's its trajectory. Bershawn is like a life coach, and she needs the visibility of the show to find the levels of success that Ebony has so early in life. And Ebony is younger than Bershawn. So
And to
that's
put it
kind of
down
where I'm coming
sharply,
from.
for the children, um, Ebony is famous with or without this show. It's not even that she
Yeah.
doesn't need this show. Ebony has a certain level of fame and visibility with or without the Real Housewives. Do you
Yeah.
understand? Brashawn wants to be seen. That is just my opinion. But Brashawn just wants to be seen. That is why she came on the Real Housewives of New York and did not utilize her platform to the best of her ability culturally. That is
Right.
just my personal opinion.
So
But yeah.
I did want to talk, like, using New York as kind of the example and the microcosm of what, you know, the conversation today is about. Like, the reason why Leah bothers me so much is because, like, I grew up telling jokes that today no one should say, you know,
Hmm.
and I mean, that's kind of where it was for me. Into adulthood, I had to learn that that was wrong. But I also was one of those people who thought because I had a Black friend, because my dad wasn't white, I couldn't possibly be racist. And then I had to face that, you know, when it just became very clear later on that no, I was racist. My Black friend just tolerated me
Yeah.
because, you know,
Can
they
we?
tolerated me. And
Mhm.
I also think, you know, like, I was racist. I used those words. I used them, and I'm like, I don't want you guys watching this to think that I'm, trying to like sugarcoat things I've said and done in the past. That's not at all true. What I am saying is that it is a constant, it is a constant thing that you have to work to continually learn. Like you can't like be like, I've learned everything. I'm done. I don't have to learn how to not be racist anymore. No, because racism changes. You have to keep changing because what is racist when I was a kid is so different than what is racist today. We didn't have Twitter when I grew up.
Culture is very different.
We
Yes.
were Backstreet Boys. We didn't have Twitter. Okay. Like that was it. And it like I think that people need to understand that it is a constant effort to keep learning so that you keep getting better, so that you unlearn behaviors. And I'm going to use myself as an example. I went through something really, really traumatic and really, really negative in life and in as an adult long after I should have unlearned so many lessons
Okay,
because
good.
of
See, you are reading my mind because I was going to ask you to specify that moment in your life where it hit you that, oh, this shit ain't cool. Like, when was the
so
moment that you realized you had to unlearn this behavior, and how did that
I think
happen for you?
I don't think it was like any one moment, but I realized that I can tell you the one moment where I realized that any any use of language, both overt or covert, which was co-signed by a certain group,
Mm-hmm.
is offensive. And I
100%.
and so that was kind of a big thing. So I had an incident with one of my children that happened that had, where I was having to, as a mother, contemplate what was being done to my child. And what was happening was, so my child was being targeted by bullies. And um I'm trying not to go into specifics because I don't,
Want
my
to like
children
name
are,
names and point
yeah,
out where,
exactly.
yeah,
So something
be
happened.
specific.
One of my children was targeted in a way that um, their life was at risk.
Okay.
And I had several incidents which were not serious. And those incidents, kind of on the heels of all of that, and then having additional problems with my child and having repeated instances that were more and more worrying, and the fear just kind of grew, leading into a large instance where I went out on, just to do something fun. I was accosted, I was threatened, and I was followed. And it was it was such a stupid event. It I went to the movies with a friend, and I told the people that talked through the entire movie to shut the fuck up
Mm-hmm.
because I missed the final line of dialogue. And I was so like, I literally, like, that one line at the end of the movie, like, that if you miss it, you're like, wait, what just happened? Is it over? Are we done?
Yeah,
I missed it. I missed it
100%.
because they talked through the whole movie, and they were talking, and it was so bad. And I said, shut the fuck up, which created a whole problem. My friend and my friend was very afraid. And I was like,
Are you capable of getting into the cultural specifics of your friend? Just just to understand, or would that be too like poignant?
a friend who looks like me,
Okay.
but is not married to someone who looks like me.
Okay.
And
That is specific enough. That is very enough.
and none of the people who tried to who threatened us, followed us, or attacked us looked like me.
Okay.
So afterwards, like after that event was over, but like we were driving home and sitting and talking and rehashing, and I dropped the word you should never drop while crying, and my friend laughed and told me it was okay. And I started crying even more and was like, it's not okay. Like, I can't believe I said that, and she was like, well, everybody gets pushed past a breaking point. And my friend was like trying to like
justify you saying it.
Yeah, like make it okay. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that,
This is what
and I
happened to
just,
Paula Dean, by the way. Like this is very like this makes me think about when like Paula Dean was like talking about when she used the N word, and she was talking about how she got robbed, and she was recalling the situation, and she used it in the moment of her recalling it. And I wonder if she had a friend there that like sat there and was like, "Well, you're going through something right now, so it's okay. We all say things that we don't
but
mean
that's
when
the
we're
thing
stressed."
is that number one, I knew better. I knew
Hmm.
better. I was an adult. I was an adult with children old enough to take care of themselves and wipe their own behind. Like, I was an
Mm.
adult. So I had children of my own that I was teaching life lessons of my own. I knew better.
Mm.
And I knew what that word meant as well by saying it. I knew what it meant. It meant I hadn't learned enough. It meant that you can backslide. And it meant that I was not who I thought I was. And so I
Mm.
had to face it. And this friend, who I, in any other time, would have expected that, I would have been called out on what I said, like, didn't, and I, it was what ended the friendship, because
Mhm.
for me, I did not like that mirror. I did not like that mirror that was put up in front of my face. And
Mhm.
it was like, I'm not saying that this person was like trying to be hurtful or offensive or anything. I'm
Right.
saying that this person showed me how I look to other people
Mhm.
because I saw them. And I was like, I don't want, that's not who I want to be. And
That
so,
yeah.
um, I went, and not long after that had sat down and I had a conversation with my dad. Um,
Mhm.
and I told my dad what happened, and having my dad look me in the face to tell me how disappointed he was that I said something in an environment where I knew I could say it and nobody would overhear, meant that I knew I could say it and nobody would overhear. That came from my dad. And so that was like
Mm.
oh my God, you're right.
Wow. The
And
intensity of that real wow, I'm so sorry. I hate to cut
no,
you off.
it's
That
okay.
the
It was really, really, I mean, it was one of those like, okay. And then so that's when I asked my dad, like, okay, what has happened to you? Because we had never, until this, I had never sat down with my dad to say, how have people treated you badly? How have you been the target of racism and xenophobia and bigotry? Like, how has this impacted your life? And that was like when I found out that my dad moved to the United States as a teenager. That when he came to, I mean, I knew that before, but when he came to the United States, my dad learned to speak English on MTV. And so I think that, like, having my dad be like, oh, no, I understand, because he learned by watching music videos how to talk as a 5'2" Asian kid. Like, he wasn't ever like, he was never gonna be okay to say the things that said in a music video in, the 70s and or, in the 80s. Like, he was never gonna do that, So my dad sat down and he talked with me about how people had treated him. And he said that he was proud of me for being appalled and ashamed because it showed I didn't want to be that.
Mhm.
Um, he was very, very disappointed in me, and that I was not the person he believed that I was. Because if I was, I would never have said it. And that was like, so it was just, a very big conversation about, like, I'm an adult. I should have learned this lesson 10 years ago. I should have learned this lesson 15 years ago. Like, this lesson should have been learned many, many years ago. And I learned it, but I didn't apply it in my own life in the way that I thought I would, and now it's, years later, I'm still an adult. I'm just older and not much older. So I want to say that I am not much older. So please don't think that I'm saying, oh, this was like so far in the past. Like, it's not that far. Like, it's years in the past, but it ain't that far in the past. And I think people need to understand that for correct context. Like, that I didn't come out of my childhood into adulthood and leave that childhood environment and then go, oh, well, I don't live in Texas anymore. It's okay. Or whatever. Like, no, that's not how it is. Like, I went from Texas to Montana, which was worse. So I went from Texas to Montana, which was so much worse as far as, prejudice. It was so much worse. That
Do me a favor really quick.
Yeah.
While you're speaking on Montana, can you speak to like where Montana is geographically in the country?
Sure. So
Because
if
I
you
am
look
not
at
positive myself.
no problem. If you think of the shape of the US in your head, okay? At the very top of the country, you have Washington State, which borders Canada. Right next to Washington is a tiny sliver that borders Canada. That's Idaho. And then further inland, which is on both sides of the Rocky Mountains, leading into the Badlands, also bordering the Great White North, is Montana.
Okay, now this is why I wanted to ask that question, because it is thought throughout history that a lot of Black people ran to the North because it was allegedly not racist. And I want to make sure that we emphasize that that is only probably applicable in certain areas. Do you get what I mean? If that is even really like a full on truth. I feel like because
I think that it's everywhere, to be quite honest. I think that it's everywhere. And I think it's everywhere. When you want to talk about some of the worst race riots in the country, go look up the Boston race riots, okay? Like,
that was another example for me.
Like, you want to look at like some of the like worst rebellions against in the North against the joining the Union Army for the Civil War. They took place in New York City. Like, when you think of like the northern places, or the blue states or whatever, please keep in mind that some of the worst segregation in our nation that still exists today is in blue states, not red states. Okay. When we look at like a lot of the, like, where is it actually worse in the country? You have to look at where is it worse for who? Because in Montana, there really aren't Black people in Montana. There really aren't. I'm not saying there's none. All right. I'm just saying that
But
the
the ratio.
majority, exactly. So it's a state that like 98% of the residents are white, and the 2%, like 1.9% of those are Native American. So
There you go.
and now the whole time I lived in Montana, I never had my parents come visit me because I never wanted my parents to be subjected to the racism that I saw because of the fact that it was so bad. Spoiler, I shoved her down the stairs. Sorry, that caught me off guard. I need more details.
Sorry. Here's the comment before that was explaining that. A friend well, then of mine said that word when we were freshmen in college, and she thought somebody stole her debit card info. I was the only black person there. Everybody was shocked at my reaction. Spoiler alert, I shoved her down the stairs. You know,
I
that
still need some
reminds
more details because that could be a big overreaction, you
it
know?
could. I would love some more details to that, but to
It
just read the
could
comment of
be.
I shoved her down the stairs, it was like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah, I
And why
missed
is this?
that, Joanna. So sorry. It wasn't judgment, it was confusion. So
Yeah. But that makes me think about that time that, and please don't forget where you were going, big, 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 big,
Montana,
because I
got
do
it.
want to,
Yeah.
right, stay there. But that makes me think about the time recently when you remember, I think it might have been in New York where the girl was visiting New York. She was the white girl that was visiting New York, and she like left her phone in the taxi or something, and she accused this little
Yes.
black boy of
So
like stealing
yes,
her
and
phone, and
his
she went through all
dad
that.
is like a world
Some
renowned
famous,
like
yeah,
jazz guy. Yeah. No, I know who you're talking about.
yeah. That's what it made me think about when sorry, I'm trying to keep these braids together, but like they keep falling in my face, but I want them
Okay,
to
I'm
stay
out of
behind this
coffee
mic.
now, so the world might be ending.
Listen, I listen, I don't even drink coffee, so I don't know how I'm holding it together. Like you see, I have no eyebrows, so I must be stressed. But um that's what it made me think about. But back to Montana, go and research that story when you're outside of this live to go and get further context on that, and drop down in the comments and let me know who that boy's dad was. Big because I keep forgetting. But back to Montana. Sorry about that.
So when I went to Montana, when I lived in Montana, like it was, I had, I worked off base and, I was married to the military and still married to the military, but different husband, but still married to military. But
Nice.
the, it was like, oh, okay. Um, I'm that I just didn't expect it, and like I had friends who were, I had friends that weren't white. In fact, my closest friends were not white. And it was still like shocking to me. Like my friend, like she was the type of person that would wear like a pair of Jimmy Choos to the grocery store. Like she was very, very like fashion forward. Okay.
Oh
And
boy.
her husband had never had alcohol in his entire life. Never had
Mm.
alcohol. The man ironed his jeans. Okay? Like he was it, these they were is if you were to visually look at someone and be like they've got their life together, that would be them. And we would go to the mall and they would get followed. And like we had another friend who still not white, but another friend, he didn't even own jeans at all because he was taught that growing up, jeans were not something that you wear if you want people to take you seriously. He never wanted people to disregard him, so he never wore jeans. And
I
so,
admire that.
so like, but I saw how people treated him, and I never wanted that to be our family. I never wanted that. So, what does it say? In the north, they don't care how big you get, just so long as you don't get too close. In the south, they don't care how close you get, just so long. You know what? That's a perfect analogy. I really like learned a lot. I mean, I had watched it for a lot of years, but never actually really like watched it and then went and did additional research. But after the conversation with my dad, I went and rewatched the Ken Burns documentary, The Civil War. Um,
Mm.
and then I went and like started doing reading and all of those things. And I have a ton of like books, especially for children, because I wanted to make sure that my kids could read books um, about systemic racism and about this, the Civil War, as well as the founding of slavery in our country.
Do you know where you
And
can find those books? Because I want to get those books for
Amazon,
my daughter. She's learning to read right now, and I want to drop
Amazon,
those
and I
links
have
in the.
Amazon, and I can send you a list because I have a
Please do,
list.
because
I
I
mean,
want
it's
to
like
put that in
quite
the
a few.
description box.
But yeah, I bought them on Amazon and I'll send you a list. So
Thank
they're
you, because
at
I'll
like
drop the.
the fifth, sixth, like going up into like through elementary school. Anything older than elementary school, like it's a lot of them aren't going to work, but as long as you have an elementary school age, they're great. And
Okay.
um,
1 second. Somebody said, well, Shane Shady, sorry, somebody. Shane Shady said, can someone break that quote down for us? And I want to take time to try to interpret it for myself. In the North, they don't care how big you get, just as long as you don't get too close. Meaning that they don't care how rich you are, how much money you have, how much affluence you have. They don't care what type of life you establish for yourself, as long as you don't establish yourself anywhere within their boundaries.
yeah,
Right?
as long
So
as
as
you don't
long
live
as
in
you
their
keep
neighborhoods or go to their school.
right, long as you don't live in their neighborhoods, go to their school, go to their country club, you can be as rich as you want to be, make as much money as you want to make, live as affluently as you want to make, long as you do it over there, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in the South, they don't care how close you get, just as long as you don't get too big. Meaning, they don't care if you work for them. They don't care if you drive their school bus. They don't care if you teach their children. They don't care if you fix their food at McDonald's. They don't care if you drive their taxis. They don't care about any of that. They don't care if you live in the neighborhoods, as long as you never are wealthier or more established or have more power and access than they do. As long as you are subservient to their superiority, then you are in your place, right?
Yep.
In the
Exactly.
North, they allow you to establish your own place of equal, lesser, or more validity, as long as you are not in their space. Whereas in the South, you can be all up in their space, long as you know that yours is down here.
Well, since you guys are, putting in like questions and stuff, like if you guys have like specific questions or if things I'm saying like are really like if they're bothering you and you want me to expand or I don't know, tell me I'm a horrible person, like totally okay.
No,
Um,
it will not. No, because
but
I will not do that. I will hold on, hold,
I mean like in
because I
the
will
I
cuss you the
like
fuck
how
out.
can
Don't
you
come on here
like don't
disrespecting nobody on
justify
my
this,
channel.
But I
No,
just
because
mean
way, I don't play that.
I just want like, interactive, I guess would be a better way to put it. Like if, people, because I don't know how many people actually have that many open and honest conversations in their lives, that people give them the opportunity to have that. So
Hmm.
that's why I'm saying like, you know, um, but I wanted to go into like why that incident, a few years ago and the conversation with my dad and everything, like why that was so bothersome for me.
Hmm.
So, because I think that that's really important and
Please.
I think learning more about where my family came from and my family's past and the good and the bad, not just about my dad, but also, my mom's family as well, really and truly. Sometimes it's easy to ignore what doesn't impact your life or your world or your comfort. It is really easy to ignore something, or it's easy to learn about it, but still keep it. It's not, you can keep it, at a distance from yourself at arm's length. So
Hmm.
it wasn't until, I was able to have that impact me. And then I had to face the fact that, oh, you guys, I
Girl,
just,
I do not play that. I like, mind you, I do not have any issue with anybody disagreeing with any perspective or point of view on my channel. However, if you cannot articulate that respectfully, after I have respectfully given you the platform to do so, I will cuss you the fuck out.
oh,
Okay? Because I don't
well,
play that. Like, I respect anybody who comes on my channel. Therefore, I expect anybody watching to do the same. And if you cannot come on my channel and adhere by those simple rules, because I don't ask a lot, I don't ask y'all for shit. I don't ask y'all to do anything. All I ask y'all to do is click buttons and share it to your friends. And if you got $2 or $3, buy a girl a Chinese plate. But the one thing that I tell y'all to do that I will never ever budge on is do not disrespect anybody that comes on my channel, that I mention on my channel, whose channel I am affiliated with, or anything of the like, because I do not play that. Like, I am somebody who will always step and move in love, and if you cannot play that and you make me step out of moving in love, then I will come off of my chariot and cuss you the fuck out. Clock your references, children.
Jordan, you always make me laugh so much because you get so
Sorry.
passionate. You get so
Because I
passionate.
really don't play,
I
I
know.
really do
I
not
know what
play
you
that shit.
mean.
Like,
I
I
know.
really don't.
I know.
Sorry.
But okay, so let me explain like what got put um like to me about my dad. Okay. So
Okay, cool. Do you mind if I bring Joanna Shante into the room while you're talking?
absolutely not. Yeah, bring her up.
Okay, cool.
Totally fine.
Okay.
So my dad was born and raised in Laos,
Hmm.
which in the wake of Vietnam, Laos was overtaken by, and their government fell to communist troops.
Hmm.
And because of the fact that my dad, his father, who had already died by that point, but his father had been Thai, so they were able to leave Laos to go to Thailand,
Hmm.
and which Thailand is a monarchy, so it was never going to fall to communism unless, like, you take it all over. But
Right.
my dad left Laos like they had to be smuggled out of the country because his ethnic group was being targeted, and his religion was being targeted by the communist forces, and they were systematically extinguishing people. So
Mm.
my dad came to the US very young, and as he got a little older and started to, when I say very young, I mean like he was, still a child. He was not an adult. So when he came to the United States, like I said, he learned watching television, and then and then television became MTV, and so he learned kind of how how to talk and how to communicate based off of TV,
Slang,
and then
basically.
yeah, exactly, TV and music videos. So, and like I remember even asking him like like because we were having the conversation, I remember asking him like, so you learned like how to like talk like based off of what you saw on television. And he said that at the time when he moved to Texas, the only thing that he knew about Texas came from the TV show Dallas,
Mm.
because Texas wasn't on TV.
Right.
And when someone told him that he was moving to Texas, he watched Gunsmoke.
Wow. Can I just break break the seriousness of this just for 1 second? Because I just want to speak to how culturally open I am. Just in that moment when you said that your Asian father moved to Texas, I got so warm on the inside.
Okay, so
Just because, like,
my
sorry,
house,
just
my house was so interesting because my dad is, like I said, he's a 5'2" Asian man with a mustache.
mm,
And my mom is 5'7", grew up in Georgia and joined the army. So my parents are very different from each
I
other.
love
So like
that look.
I used to joke that my house was the only place where you would always be able to find sweet tea and sticky rice.
Period.
Baby, I would have loved to be your friend growing up because that's a
Girl, let
hell
me
of a
tell you.
combination.
Because especially if your parents would have got together and had a brother. Because let me tell you something.
I have a
Listen,
brother.
I'm not fed.
I told you about my brother. I told you about my brother.
Don't, girl, don't get me started up here. Don't get me started on this live because I'm trying to be very, very culturally sensitive when I say this because I don't want to sound like I'm fetishizing, right? But when I say Mama loves an Asian man, baby. Oh my God.
Jordan, I'll text
And
you because my dad just got a new job back in Texas, and my husband was down in that area for work, and so of course they got to see each other, and they took a picture, and I will send you the picture because you will die laughing. My husband,
girl,
my short bald husband, standing next to my dad, and he was actually like the tall guy in the room. Like I died laughing. I died
I
laughing.
I live for that because when you said your Asian daddy moved to Texas, and I thought about this Asian man with this thick Southern.
No.
Let's move on. Let's
Okay.
move on because, girl,
So
I don't want to be inappropriate. Next.
so and that was like when my dad, so you have to understand that my dad used to overplay his accent a lot when I was growing up
Mhm.
because like okay, so like I said, I grew up very, very poor. We did not have a lot of money. Um, And so when we would go out to eat, it was it was a special occasion for my family. So for
Mm.
my dad to sometimes be treated negatively would ruin that. And my dad would turn it around and make a joke. And he would make it at his own expense in a way that would play off of the biases of that person. So
Right.
like he would be, we'd like, I don't know, go to like Golden Corral. Okay. And my dad would, I don't know, because now there's no way I'd eat there now. But
Of all places, girl. No shade to Golden Corrals. Like if you're like, girl, like if y'all want to endorse a chick now, I would be glad to come and sample your food in the presence. But y'all had a couple struggle years. Back to what you were saying.
A
so
couple.
but my,
Sorry.
my dad would like if somebody was rude to him at the restaurant, he would ask them like, do you have fly lice? And then he would ask them if they would accept his $5. My dad speaks 4 languages.
I bet your daddy is
Your
so
daddy
he is
was
sounding
trolling the
sexier
fuck
and
out of them.
sexier by the girl. I love
He
your daddy.
speaks
He is amazing.
4
That's my kind of
languages.
man.
And he would do that. And I mean, of course, I was mortified, as a kid. I was like, oh my God, Dad, don't do that. Why are you saying that? Like,
So
stop.
they can feel
Because your
stupid for
daddy
thinking
was
it.
trolling before trolling was trolling.
Trolling! Your daddy
Yes.
was trolling the girl, honey.
But it was just
I
like,
am
so,
so
but he
impressed.
didn't, but he told a lot of stories that painted a lot of things that happened as I was growing up in context, like how he and my mother were treated negatively. They were followed when they would go to the mall by security because this white woman couldn't possibly be with this little Asian dude. Like it was always stuff, and he would share all this stuff. So when he expressed his disappointment to me and then didn't just say it once. No, he said it over and over again and was saying it, like repeatedly as he's telling me a story. And then he tells me again he's disappointed. And then he shares another story and tells me again he's disappointed. That's how my dad hammered home how wrong like what had happened was. And so I just like, I
Beautiful
am
girl.
so, even now thinking back on it, sorry, ashamed of the fact that it took that for me to definitively like shut that door of I don't fucking live there anymore. Like
When you're
I don't
finally
recognize
showing
that
who you are
town.
wrong.
I'm done. Like that's it. Like no, like never again, no more. And then have to educate myself and have to talk with friends and open myself up to conversations and ask questions and then recognize that I had people in my life that I could no longer stomach and I had to cut them out.
Yeah.
And
Let me
and I
read a
think that
comment
I
from
think that's
August
hard
really
too, is I
quick.
think that's the biggest reason why a lot of white people don't want to turn away from racism, because then they have to acknowledge that they know people who are racist and they have to cut them out of their lives.
Right.
And they don't
Let
want to do
me
that.
Let me address Doll Baby really quick because I don't want to feel like somebody has to sit and watch something that is triggering them. Um, Doll Baby said, I saw how my dad was treated when I was growing up. This conversation is really triggering me. Sweetheart, I completely understand, and I probably should have made some sort of trigger warning banner before starting this. But I don't want you to feel like you have to sit through this conversation if it's painful for you. If you want to like tune out, you know, figure out some different way to engage and feel yourself feel, feel yourself through that. I completely understand. Just know that we love you and that we appreciate you tuning in, and I hope that um the fact that we're bringing awareness to this conversation and how destructive narratives like this are help bring you some peace in the fact that somebody else relates to how wrong this is. So I hope that you feel better, and I hope that me saying that and us being here displays the intention that we want to back up how wrong that is. So that's really all I wanted to say about that. But go ahead, babe.
So, like one of the conversations that I had in the wake of that was with someone in my life where he had said that the movie American History X did the biggest disservice to Americans because it convinced the American people that that's who are racist. The tattooed guys that go to prison, that that's it. That's the dudes in the pointy white hoods. Like that's racism. And that it can be if even they can unlearn it, you know, then it can be unlearned to such an extent of if it's not unlearned, the next generation will pay the ultimate price for our ignorance. But that's not how it works. The worst types of racism are the ones that are propped up every single day in 1,000 small ways. It's the Chinese proverb, the worst death is the death by 1,000 cuts. And that's what it is. It is the continued survival of people of color because they refuse after 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 100,000 cuts, they're still here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the refusal to just shut up and go away. And I think that's like having my friend, point that out. Like, no, that like white people think, oh, well, I'm not that, so I can't possibly be. But the reality is that, yeah, but if you were to see that, would you call it out? If you knew somebody who saw that, would you call them out? Like if you knew, I mean, and that's kind of where where that conversation, started. And I mean, I think we can all in today's day and age acknowledge that there is there aren't a whole lot of people left in the middle. Everybody has a line and you fall on one side or the other, but we just don't all have our lines drawn in the same places, unfortunately. And because of that, that's why people are okay with some behaviors but not okay with other behaviors, or they accept some labels but then refuse others. I think that when you look at racism today, and specifically going back to what we see on our TVs, we see NBC Universal. It was pointed out to me that the head of NBC, the CEO, is a Black woman. And that was pointed out to me. And I was like, okay, great. So is that like saying that because Obama's when he was president, that there can't possibly be racism anymore because one dude got a job?
Oh, thank you, girl.
Right.
Oh, somebody speak to it, because like I would. Here's the thing. I recognize, and this is once again, this is just my Virgoing, Okay. I am always somebody who looks at the underlayer of seeing some things happen. Like, immediately when I saw that Obama won the presidency, my first thought was how many people were going to sit here and downplay racism still being in direct effect in everyday culture with the term, but we have a black president. Okay, and black people had the right to vote too. That does not mean that there's not voter suppression.
The only
Okay.
people that said, but we have a black president, are the ones we could have responded to with, no thanks to you.
Like, it
Right.
wasn't because of your vote, sis. So why are you putting this in my face? Like, like, come on. Throw me another one. Like, what are you gonna say next? Oh, because we've had black people in Congress, all of a sudden, like, like they amended the whole Constitution. Like,
Most people can't name a black person in Congress.
Man, and like when it happened, I was like, this is so great, but this is so bad, but this is so great. Because it's like, okay, this is great because we finally have a black president, but this is bad because all of the racists who had that little bit of racism just bubbling under the surface that they could cover up, they ain't gonna be able to cover that shit up no more because now they big mad.
hmm
But it's also good too because now you can't hide no more and I see you.
listen, I have always been someone to subscribe to the philosophy of I like my racist racist.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, be overt.
I
Show
like my
me.
Please tell me. Show me your Trump bumper sticker. Put it in the yard. Wear the flag. Wear the hat. Put it out. Buy the merch. I want to see it. Post it on your social media so I know exactly who you are when I see your ass in the street. Okay? So
Exactly.
I know exactly who you are when I walk up on you because I am someone who, mind you, I'm slightly agoraphobic, so this may just me being dramatic, right? I am someone who always has this subconscious thought when I meet white people. There's always that. Do you get me? Like, there's always just that little bit of. And it may not even be like for an extended period of time, but there's always that split second in my mind that I'm like, because I never, like, as somebody who walks around here as a black person, I'm never not a person who is not aware of my blackness. And as a black person who lives in Alabama, doll baby, back me up on this. There is never a time where you do not walk around and you do not see it directly put into your face because down here the races displayed themselves, honey. They are proud to show their Trump flags. They are proud to wave their hat, honey. They are they are proud to do it all, which I appreciate,
In
but
Arkansas
however, it
too.
puts me on guard.
It's like,
Like,
okay, you got a Confederate flag on your house. Okay, I see you. I know exactly who you are. Cool. But don't like invite me over and your house seems nice and you seem nice and everything is cool and then I hear, oh, you're so articulate. Oh, your car is
oh,
so nice. You're
oh,
so well spoken. Your hair looks so well kept.
I have. I promise you, I have had to pray to God, Jehovah, Buddha, Allah, just to keep from punching people in the face for calling me articulate and well spoken and clean cut and so uh mature and well presented,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I was presenting male. This is one of the things where I say black men get that so much worse.
Because you was just supposed to be a thug then.
I was just supposed to be a thug. I was supposed to be walking around here in do rags and wife beaters and Timbs,
So
drinking 40s on the street corner, selling rocks on the block. Like,
With
I
gold
was
snatch
just
outs
supposed to be
in.
that.
so
Snatching purses and wearing chains. Sorry, Kristen. Go ahead, baby.
when we lived in Maryland, there, my husband's job was very prestigious. Okay.
hmm
And like I've got pictures of him and his crew on social media, or not on social media because it couldn't be, but I've got pictures
Right.
of them and the crew. Like with Eric Holder when he was the attorney general, like throwing up deuces in the back of the plane. So, like, it was funny, but like my husband doing that job, with that type of level of prestige, you
Hmm.
know, they the crews are handpicked. And the crews were about 50-50 with, half the crew being white, half the crew being black. Um, and that, so like us, we made friends, we would socialize with people, all that. Well, we bought a house while we lived out there and we were moving into our home. And the people that worked with my husband helped us move, because that
Hmm.
was our friends. We didn't know anybody. Like we're not from there, like the only people I'm loving the cry angle.
Come on,
Listen,
Candace.
girl, I made it, so I may as well use it. Listen, I asked her before we went
He
live. I
did.
was like, "Listen, do you think I should make a cry angle? Cause girl, y'all
He did.
know I'm on hormones, so a bitch gets sensitive every now and again."
But
So I went, and I made one while we was talking backstage before we went live. I was like, "Girl, listen, I'm gonna go ahead and be prepared since if she not gonna brand it, damn it, I will." Go ahead. I'm sorry.
so we, but like we're moving into the house and all these guys are in there and they're all in, like tank tops and gym shorts and lifting a bunch, sofas and heavy furniture and moving us into our house. Well,
Right.
the day's ending and we're like, all right, pizza's here. Who wants nachos? Like we got soda for those who drink. We got, drinks for our friends who are halal. Like, here you go. And it was funny because like there were some people who were there like turning on the cable and like stuff that happens when you're moving into a house. And I
Hmm.
remember one of the guys was like, "Oh, are these your movers?" And I started laughing and I was like, "No, that's not the movers." And he pointed to one of the black guys that was there and I was like, "That's the pilot. He flew the vice president left yesterday." Like that's their crew. And I remember like being so just, what are you what are you talking about? Because it's the idea that if you're not white, you can't hold that job. You can't do that thing. You can't fly that plane. You can't get that education. You can't do that. You can't drive that car. How dare you? You have to
Like if
drive like
like if you're black in this area, you automatically work in baggage claim. There is no way that you could be the pilot. You automatically work in TSA. Like, girl.
I
Like
yeah.
the
got
number of
that
times.
so many times going to state meetings and things like that. And Kristen doesn't know yet. I'm an elected official where I live. So there are meetings with
That's why I always bring her up because
the
she
governor.
understands the intersectionality of it all, so she can really speak to this. Go ahead, baby. I'm sorry.
So yeah, we have meetings at the state capitol in Little Rock because I'm in Arkansas with the governor. I've had some really interesting conversations with him. They were kind of like, Johnny, can you stop coming on the conference calls because you keep calling this man racist and classist and telling him that he be on bullshit. And if we actually need some money from them, we probably ain't gonna get it because he gonna remember you. So can you stop? I'm like, cool. But
I'll
we
just call in and put my
had
mic on mute.
a meeting at the capitol with like all the elected officials basically. So like all the mayors and the treasurers, I'm a treasurer, and then the state representatives, the ones from Arkansas Senate and the House and all that. And I used to be like a, respectability politics type of person. Oh shit, let me turn the music down so they won't think I'm ghetto. And then I was like, fuck them though. If I feel like listening to Boosie with my sound system in my
Well,
car
I
that I
don't know
pay
about
for that I
Boosie,
love.
but
Yeah, not now, cause yeah,
I don't know
that's a
about
whole nother
Boosie, but I get what
conversation.
you mean. I'm
That's a
sorry, that's
whole
a
nother
whole nother live.
conversation.
That's a
Yeah.
whole nother live, sis.
Whew, but
But we'll
yeah,
talk about
like,
that
but
later.
still, like Tupac that I'm still gonna listen to if I feel like popping up, bumping Meg the Stallion. Like I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be me. And I pulled up, and my music was loud because it's about 3 hours
That
away
show
from
up
where
on
I
your
live,
thigh
and I
shit.
drove down there in my pretty little dark maroon colored Lincoln Continental.
Tell
And
them how it is, children.
I got up to one of the security guards and he was like, "Oh, you're here for the parole hearing today?" And I was like, "No, I'm here for the Capitol meeting." He was like, "Oh, are you one of the mayor's assistants?" And I showed my badge. I was like, "No, I'm the treasurer." He was like, "Oh, and then he told me where to go. Like, he turned red in the face. It's like, "Yes, thank you for assuming that I'm here for something completely different than what I'm here for." And then when you actually find out what I'm here for, it's like, "Oh, she's not one of the elected officials. She's an assistant."
It's
It's like,
moments
"No,
like
boo."
this when Wendy should have jumped off of her damn chair and been like,
Exactly.
"Cause girl, that's not like I cannot tell you how many times I've been in Walmart with a polo shirt on and somebody stops me and asks me, "Do I work here?" It's like I'm not even in the polo shirt of the people who work at the damn store. Like I'm in Walmart wearing a lime green polo shirt. Well, it's not a lime green polo shirt. All I wear is black until all my black clothes are dirty, and then I wear gray. So it was probably a gray polo shirt. And somebody stopped me and asked me, "Do I work here?" I'm literally
Like, this ain't
wearing
blue.
a black polo shirt. Huh?
It's like, bruh, this ain't blue.
This
No, I
ain't
don't work
blue. I'm
here.
wearing a gray sweatshirt and or a gray polo shirt and black jeans with Jordans. I don't. I ain't even got no vest, no badge, no headset, no mic. I ain't got no groceries. I ain't got no cart. I ain't got no label gun. I ain't got no clicker. I ain't got no markdown machine. I'm not even standing by any merchandise. I'm like, ma'am, did you come in here looking for something like Nam yo horenge kyo? Nam yo. Cause girl, cause child, you gonna make me either chant or curse, and I'm sure you would rather hit me chant than curse you the entire tea of fucks out. So just nam yo horenge kyo,
Now I
horenge
start going with the
kyo.
curse outs.
I'm trying
There's
to do
a
better
few
just because I'm trying to have a
incidences.
respectable platform, even though I'm with the shits. Like I try to just be with the shits when I really, 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 really need to be. Like if I ever got the opportunity to like interview Trump, that's when I would be giving full blown like I would get through security and all of them people with the most respectable Kamala Harris vibe,
Right.
and then I would bust in there and give full like Maxine Waters on that ass. Do you
Yes.
hear me? So it's all about the finesse. But anyway, please continue, Kristen. I'm sorry, girl. You know, I just be getting in my moments and I be going off on tangents, girl,
That's
because I
okay, because
be.
I think I lost my point like so far away because, and then I started thinking of like side points to make. Like I was thinking how I'm just listening to you guys and I'm like, all right, well, we don't have Real Housewives of DC anymore because that couple ruined it and broke into the White House event, and that's why we now have Potomac instead.
I still
It
have
was a
so many
one
questions
couple.
about that, but we're not
So there's
talking
Them
about
that.
that
And
today.
then
Salahi.
and then
Yes.
Joanna, what you said about your music and stuff. Okay, I'm horrible with names, so please, I do not for the life of me remember her. I'm going to describe her,
Hmm.
and she's probably about 6 feet tall. She's a heavier black comedian,
Leslie
and
Jones.
I don't think so. I'd have to see a picture, but she did a skit where she talked about how she would like pull up in her car and it would be like dum, 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 and people would like see her and they're, rolling their windows up and stuff, and they would make assumptions and she would be like, "Hi, nice to see you." And she said, that until she got tired of that reaction, and then she would roll the window down, and then suddenly they would hear the music and realize like they weren't seeing her like rap along with like an R&B song. They were seeing her sing opera.
Hmm.
And so she would like sing it perfectly, by the way, in the skit, and then roll up her window and be like, "Bitch."
Exactly.
That,
And it just like
that.
So when you
That's
were
why.
talking about your music, I was like, I need to find that clip somewhere. I'm gonna have to search for it and I'm gonna have to send it to Jordan so you can share it on Twitter.
That is the duality of me riding through a small town. Listen, I'm not going to name the town that I live in, but I live in a very small town that most people are not able to find on a map. Okay?
Most people don't know how
And
to use a map, so
First
well,
of
there you
all,
go. Well, there you go. But I ride through that town in one of two mindsets. Every time I drive through the main strip of town, right? I either want to be, I'm black, y'all. I'm black, y'all. I'm blackity black, black as fuck, black as black, black, y'all. Or I want to ride through on the duality and being well rounded and cultured. So I'm either running through playing Tupac, Ice Cube, Busta Rhymes, all of the things, or I'm coming through playing The Sweet, Rufus King, Nirvana, playing like all of these other types of things. And like, I swear to God,
the good old
you
Carrie
lie.
Underwood
You're
Paramore
blasting the
moment.
Wiggles, aren't you?
yeah, listen, on the it depends from like 7:15 to like 7:20 in the morning when I'm dropping my baby off at school. I'm actually blasting the Proud Family. Get into it. But um like, and my daughter, she's a Cheetah Girls fan, but that's because that was intentional for me. Like, when she came out of the womb, I made sure that everything that she saw that came from media or came from a store represented her. So every baby doll I bought her was black, every book I bought her
Yes.
had black people in it, every TV show that I showed her had black people in it, every show, like, like we didn't do Caillou round here. No, no shade to Caillou. We did Lil Bill,
Oh no,
separate
you
of the
should shade
drama.
Caillou because that's
Like,
awful.
Please, that little
like,
whiny bastard used to, because my
like with the,
daughter used to love
listen.
him, and he used to, Mommy.
Mm-mm.
Like, nah,
No, honey.
dog. I'm
We
like,
did
no,
Doc
no, no,
McStuffins.
no.
We did the Proud Family. I'm still a Cheetah Girls fan. All of these years, listen, I will listen to Cheetah Girls by myself, whether my kid is in the car or not. So that's like a bonding thing with me and my kid to watch that movie. She listens to all the soundtracks. That's the only thing she wants to hear when the Proud Family's not on. Like, that's a thing for us. So like, I really made sure that she was fully represented every time she saw herself anywhere, so that she would never walk into school and feel like it was unfamiliar or feel like it was weird. I wanted her to walk into school and see all of the white books and be like, oh, that's something different than what I usually see.
Right. Same. Exactly the same.
Do you get what I
Exactly the
mean?
same.
I
Whereas I'm
just
the white mom who makes sure that like I'm buying my daughter, like I'm buying her toys that are more representative because
Bratz
most of
dolls
the
instead of Barbies.
toys are, I mean, like there's like one place in one aisle that has like a doll that's, that's a black girl or that is, a Latino girl or whatever on it got, that's assuming you could even find you can't find boy dolls. I'm not talking about action figures. I mean dolls. Like you
Right.
can't find those things. It's they're not like they're just not, I don't want to say they're not made, but they're not widely available. So I'm like, it's hard to find things to give your kids to represent you when that's not what's stocked on the shelves. So when they walk into the store and they look at the toys, like you're talking about children who, from the time they know what a toy is, see no toys that represent themselves. And that's done with a reason. It's not because there aren't any black kids getting toys. Like, come on.
Black kids believe in Santa too, no matter how dumb I think that is. But like
As a
to
Virgo,
like
I kicked that thought out of my own head. I was like, wait, mama, we ain't got no chimney, so how Santa get in?
listen,
Oh,
there's a lot of
he
questions that I
comes in
have
the
in my mind.
door. But
Oh,
you
so
don't
you just leave
even
your door
leave.
unlocked one day a year, but you
Right.
always tell me to lock the damn door and don't open it for nobody, but you want me to open it for a random white man with a bag? What?
That was exactly my attitude. And she was like, I was like, so seriously? She was like, so what do you really want to ask me?
But
I was like,
you
Santa
want me to
Claus ain't
believe in
real,
God
right?
on
She was
Sunday.
like, right. I was like, okay, cool. Like, and once I got the answer that made sense, I was cool.
And see, to your point, Kristen, thi- to the grown people in the room, let me analogize what she's saying with this. Walk into your local Dollar General versus walking into your local Family Dollar. Let me tell you the difference of what you're going to see when you step into both of these hair care aisles. Okay? When you walk into Dollar General, you're going to see three aisles of all different types of hair products with all type of people who look like Kristen on them, right? And then next to the bathroom, you're going to see one aisle, not even an aisle, a section of an aisle this big with all the Cantu products, all the jam, all the got well, Dollar
Little
General don't
Shea
even sell
Moisture.
sell the Gots to be glue. All the milkshake moisture, all the pink products, you're gonna find all that on a on a on on a section of an aisle this big. Okay? Now, leave that store, don't buy a damn thing, and then go to Family Dollar, right? When you walk into Family Dollar, you're going to see two aisles of each. Whereas you're going to see one aisle where it's going to be one side is going to be all of the hair dye, got to be glue, all of the things, all of the Cantu, Carol's daughter, all that. And then you turn around on the opposite side and you see all of the bonnets and the do rags and the good hard hairbrushes for the fades and the grease and the jams and the things, right? And then you go over to the next aisle and then you see all the Kristen stuff, right? All of the suaves and the doves and the things and the tresemes and the ooh la las and the things, right? That's where you go next out. Then you see all of that stuff, and then you see the silk head wraps and all of the silk rollers and all of that type of stuff. Like I like it's just the balance is so off. Thank you, Jamila. And the black products are locked up.
Yes.
Exactly.
Like, girl, now mind you, they try to put that partially off on, well, we have a stealing product and da 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 da. But the microaggression that white people don't steal products, so you lock down the black people's products to a section of an aisle, but you have three products of three aisles of white people's products. That doesn't make any sense to me because are you trying to say that only black people steal products? Like that can't be the majority of what is being stolen when you already provide a limited stock of black products in your store anyway. Like the aisle was
Exactly.
already this big. So why do you only have this many products on an aisle that was this big regardless?
And they locked up. Like, bitch, you ain't got but five anyway.
Like I should not have to hear an alarm going off to get damn got to be glue spray if Dollar General sold got to be glue spray. So it's really more like pump it up spritz. Clock your references, children. Black girls, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Correct.
So
Like, girl, it's
I have a
just
question. I'm so sorry. Forgive me for not for your name's escaping me. I know it was just on the screen.
Joanna.
Me.
Joanna. Okay, I was gonna say Joanna, and then I was like, maybe I read it wrong. Maybe that's not it. Maybe it's
Girl, I do that
Johanna.
too.
And I'm like, then I start going through my head, and
You
I
go.
start. It's not good. So okay, Joanna. All right. So Joanna, I have a question for you. We're like for today because when you saw that like we were going to do this video and we were going to have a conversation, I would imagine that most people had like a, oh, okay, I want to watch that because I want to know this or I want to ask this. Like everybody has like something that they're curious about, especially because I don't see this conversation very often. So
Correct.
what are you curious about, or what do you just want to hear, or like, I mean, I'm like the white person who's not going to get defensive about like you saying or something, who I'm not going to try and justify it if it was wrong. So I just am, or unless you think that I am, which please tell me. So
This is
I
why
guess,
I chose to have her to have this conversation because she is really with the shits. Like, I was going to do a pre recorded conversation because I didn't want her to be bogged down by all of the, extraness of the comments and the people and the things of the things. I was going to do this pre recorded, have a real sit down conversation. I was going to get real, AJ Calloway like. clock your references, children. And
I
I was
don't
gonna
want
really
to
like
fit the
really
part.
get into my bag and really sit down and really interview and really do the things of the things. But she was like, I want to do it live because I want to have people call in. I want people to ask me questions. I want to really engage with the people and really have a real conversation. I was like, oh, you with the shit. Oh, okay, girl, I like you. I like you
Yeah,
because
like
she really want to get to it.
I've seen you on a couple different people's channels, and I've heard like
You
the
can say names. It's all good here.
rage in your voice when certain things have come up. And even the person that I was speaking about that I was friends with when we were in college that said that word, and then I pushed her ass down the stairs, like, we're
Shout
good
out to her.
now.
Oh, well, really
But
shout out to her now for real.
I had to sit down with, because in that moment, she was like, yeah, this stole my information.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was the only black person there, so everybody kind of looked at me, and I was like,
The fuck y'all looking
so
at me
you
for?
saying that because you're angry? Or she was like, no, I'm saying that because that's what they are. Because they did, basically, that's what they are, because they did a bad thing. I was like, so if I did something to make you mad, you call me that? And she was like, no, you're not like that. So I probably shoved her ass down the stairs
Oh, the tokenism of it all,
and
children.
skipped down the stairs to where she was at. I was like, I know you mad now. You want to call me one now? She was like, I can't. And everybody was like, you. Then I got the, you're the angry black girl. Why are you so aggressive? You should give her grace. She was just mad in the moment.
Okay.
I
Oh
was
God.
like, no. If you was that mad at somebody that you thought stole your debit card information when it was actually her white roommate that had did it, and I knew that because I knew the girl was shiesty anyway.
Back to my point about the hair products in stores, but
Right.
go off.
So I was like, if you thinking somebody did that made you that mad, you know I actually did this to you because I did it in your face. So whatever you wanted to call them, call me that. She was like, I can't believe you're being like this. I was like, no, what you need to understand, it doesn't matter what anybody does to you. If you don't feel that way about them anyway, that shit ain't never gonna come out of you in the moment.
Yes.
Right.
So why do you feel like that? Why did you think that shit was okay to say in front of me? And
Because
what are we gonna do to fix this?
probably because every other person who had been in their life where they had who had been black had up until that point had not said anything because they had to get by.
Hmm.
That would be my guess. And none of the white people said anything because they thought it was funny.
And speaking as someone who used to be that person and speaking as someone who is now this person, Joanna, me and you with the shit, so like we gonna get to it. Back then I was that person who wouldn't say anything because I didn't want to be the person who was like problematic or making issues or causing drama. Because mind you, yes, we were a multicultural group. However, there were less of me and more of them.
Yeah,
Get me?
like I said, my high school was, the black kids in my high school all came from my city.
Hmm.
So we got there and we was like, we got to junior high and we was like, look, we know y'all used to a certain thing, but now
But
that we're
wrong.
here, this ain't that.
When
Period.
I
So get your shit together and we won't have no problems. We understand y'all gonna have a couple of microaggressions here and there. We're gonna let y'all have it. We're gonna call you out on it, but we understand it's an adjustment period.
But we
So
will
we're
give you
gonna give
room to
y'all a week.
grow.
yeah.
But after that, if it's still a problem, then it's gonna be a problem. And it's not gonna be an individual problem. It's gonna be a every fucking body problem. And they got their shit together. We had administrators, which is why I was like, I could talk all day about this shit. I graduated in 2005. And
Word.
our principal was like, we're gonna take away all your senior privileges because the classes before you abused them. So you're not having a senior barbecue. You're not having a senior skip day. You're not having a senior prank day. You're not having a senior breakfast. You're not having a senior trip. And we were like, excuse the fuck
First of
out
all,
of
how
me.
you gonna tell me I'm not having a senior skip day, bitch? I would you,
We done
Child,
skipped the whole
tomorrow can
year,
be senior
huh?
skip day if I feel like it. Shit, I got my
Exactly.
credits. Try me.
We were like, but for what? Like, we haven't done anything. So, like, what? And this was literally the first week of school. So we were like, okay. So we're gonna put together information. We were a very kind of bougie class. We were like, all right, we see what you're doing. S- So we're gonna counter you with this nice little booklet of information. And we literally got all our statistics together. We showed that we were the class with the highest overall GPA. Every year, our class was on varsity sports. We went to state championships in at least two sports. We had the
Period.
best attendance record. We already
Period.
had, I think it was like $350,000 in scholarship offers, and the year had just began.
Better talk about it, girl. You better tell them how it is, honey. You better
So we
talk about
put
that
all the
excellence,
statistics
children.
together, and we were like, okay, these are our class statistics. So now that you see those, can we have our privileges back? And she was like, I'll think about it. We were like, all right, listen. Like, we tried to be nice about it, but since you want to do it this way,
We but we
since
did
there's
grow up
no
on TLC in
problem,
total.
right? It's like, since there's no problem, the only reason that we can think of that you're trying to snatch our senior privileges away is because we're graduating the highest percentage of Black kids in this school in 15 years. I can't believe you guys would accuse me of that. I've been here since you guys were sophomores. I would there's not a racist bone in my body. We was like, well, you need to give us a better explanation as to why you're doing this, because if not, that's what we're gonna run with. And you're gonna
Because
have
you
all the
taking your
news
job does not
outlets.
counteract your views.
Right. And you're gonna have all the news outlets calling your office Friday asking you why you're being racist to the best class to ever come out of Rivercrest High School. And she kind of shrugged us off
Shout out to
until
Ruth
Friday
Chris.
morning. Shout out to Rivercrest Coats. Friday morning she came in her office and we was already sitting there. We were like, so what's your answer? I still haven't made a decision. So first period came and all of us sat in the gym and didn't go to class because we knew the phone calls that she was about to get. And she got three from three different news outlets. And she got on the intercom and was like, can everybody from the senior class of 2005 please meet in the gym? Bitch, we already here. What
We
do you want
already
us to do?
here. Like, girl, we're already in. Attend. Girl, y'all should have all said in one accord, present.
And did. I don't know how you knew, but did. We was all like, we here already. You can come in. We've been waiting on you.
We unlocked the door, girl. It's safe. We ain't gonna jump you, girl. You can come outside. We ain't gonna jump you, girl.
So like it was that from high school that it's been like, okay, sometimes people gonna get it and they're gonna improve and they're gonna care. And sometimes you're gonna have to push them to, okay, do you care more about your image? Or do you want to hold on to this little racism you got?
Mhm.
So, and I get that it's a learning process for a lot of people, because especially in Arkansas, there's still a lot of covert racism, and people will drive around their trucks with Confederate flags flying off of them. And even now, I go to my high school football games, all the white people sitting on this side, all the Black people sitting on this side, and we all cheering for the same team, but it's still that fucking segregated. And then there's microaggressions of, oh, you're so articulate. Can I touch your hair? Bitch, do you like your fingers?
That that shit, that can I touch your hair shit? Baby, listen. I quick drag
Joanna, I don't
story.
have enough money to touch your hair. If I were to mess it up, I'd have to like owe you, write a check, backdate it. I don't have enough money for that. You spend so
Listen,
much more on your hair than than I do on mine. It's not fair to it is like the amount of things that a Black woman has to do to make her hair acceptable just on it's like that's not fair. It's not fair, and it's a financial burden if for lack of anything. So
Why do you
Facts.
think they got shaved my damn head? In fact, honey, let me just go ahead and put girl, my wig is too damn tight now, girl, no shade.
you
But
arrange
I
it
need
out
to
there.
girl, my
I
wig
want
is too
to
tight
see you
now. I've
with
been
like
trying
some
to
amazing like statement earrings and like a full set of lashes and the boldest fucking lip ever. Like you would look
catch me next
so good.
Halloween. I may go as Grace Jones. But
Ooh.
because I just don't like, I don't do the whole like glam. Like, it's such a burden for me. Like, it really is. Like, coming through here with a full B and lashes and girl, like, I don't even have eyebrows because I don't feel like doing them. Like, girl, like, I'm that chick. Like, I'm that minimalistic. Like, I take
Like
it
at
to a
this
whole nother
point, I ain't
level.
got time. Either I'm
I
gonna be
don't.
everything or I'm gonna be plain as fuck. Ain't no in
And I'm
between.
finna come through with like, I'ma take fresh '90s beauty to a whole different level. Okay. But it's the can I touch your hair thing for me. I just want to make a quick statement about that because I have used that to so I have used that to punch so many people in the face. Not literally, but when people have been like, "Can I touch your hair while I'm wearing an afro?" I'm like, "Sure, girl, get into it, girl. Root hop. Get up in this scalp, girl. Touch this skin, darling. Touch all of this skin, and then clock your references, children." But and then I would ask them after they were like, "Wow, it's da 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 da." Da." So I'm like, "How is it that much different from your hair? Explain to me why you felt in it, why you were so impulsed to touch my hair. It grows out of my scalp just like yours. It curls just like you go and get a perm to get. Like, I don't understand what is so fascinating about black hair, especially when y'all motherfuckers don't want to hire me when it looks like this. Let's talk, sis."
Right. Let's really get into it. Like, but so I get the super racist shit and the oops, I wasn't trying to be racist, but I was raised this way, so I still am. Can you help me not be racist shit? And
Hmm.
that friend that I had at the time that said that shit, who I pushed down the stairs, eventually understood. She ended up dating this black dude, and she went home, and her mom was like, every time you come from college, all you do is hang with the N words. Like, we want some of your
Oh.
time too. And she punched her mom in the face
Classy.
and called me and was like, "Can I spend the night at your house? I just got to fight with my mom." I was like, "What happened?" She was like, "I'll tell you when I get there." I was like, "Mama, can, you know, Emily spend the night?" She was like, "Yeah." So she
That
got
was a quick
there.
code name, Joanna. That was a quick code name, girl. You was quick on your feet, girl. That was slick.
No, surprising fact, that's her actual name.
Oh, well, shout out to Emily, girl. Hey,
Yeah,
subscribe to the channel.
right. But she was like, she got to my house and she told me because her lip was busted. And I was like, "What the fuck happened to you?" And she told me what
I
happened. And I was like,
don't mean to laugh. Sorry.
yeah, in the moment I was thinking, "Oh,
Because
you got offended, huh?"
I'm sorry, because all I thought when you said what the fuck happened to you, all I thought was that moment from Friday. Like, all I thought was, damn! I'm sorry. All that was in my clock your references, children. Go watch Friday and then come back and comment on this video. Go
Yeah.
ahead, girl. I'm sorry.
But like she told me what happened and I was like, "That sucks." She was like, "Now
I get
like
it.
I feel it on a visceral level cuz she had been around me after that like we didn't talk for like maybe a week after that and she was like, "I'm sorry. I found out what actually happened. It was my trifling ass roommate that was doing it. I get why it would have offended you, but I don't get why you reacted so strongly to me. So can you help me not be racist at all anymore?" Basically. And we went throughout the semester and we got fairly close. And she ended up realizing like
That fairly was just.
there's never any time where there's okay for somebody that looks like me to say this shit. I don't care if it's in a rap lyric. I don't care how angry I am. I don't care what I don't care if it's a joke. Like there's never any reason for me to say that, which led to her seeing other things that happened to me when we were just walking on campus or just being in a store or anything like that. And she at that point was like, what the fuck is wrong with my people? I'm like, baby, that's the country. Not just Arkansas, the country, but the United States, the country. And that's actually the whole world. But that's a whole nother conversation too.
And to expound on that, when it comes to this country as it relates to hair, Rounds was asking about the comment that Kiki made about the fact that my hair is literally illegal to wear in some states in professional settings. And
Right.
to go beyond that, excuse me, to specifically speak to Rounds' comment, um, not only has hair been policed in professional settings, if you go all the way back to the 60s, where to the Black is Beautiful movement, Kathleen Cleaver is one of my all-time idols
Yes.
because she is one of the people who really pushed forward that movement of wearing afros in public and really like wearing afros in work settings to normalize seeing and seeing and accepting and not policing the state of black hair in its natural state and not having to conform to Eurocentric beauty standards just to survive. Do you get what I mean? That still happens to this day, but that was like the earliest that I can recall it as something that's palatable to this day and age as far as like what the generational span is this day, right? Now, if you go back to even just a couple years ago, where the story about the boy who got kicked out of the wrestling tournament at his school for having locks, and they literally
Hmm.
made him cut his hair on the floor of the wrestling tournament just so that he can compete for his school, is just that's just a think about think about this. Think about your child going to school, right? And think about your child being told that they can't be on the cheerleading team because she has red hair.
And
Yeah,
not because she dyed it red, but
that's
because
like
it
the
actually grows red out of her head.
that's like the
Not
little
because
girl that, I mean, she's my daughter's age, who came home from school and her hair was cut by her teacher, and her
Yep.
Mhm.
dad threw the big fit, and the teacher's justification was that his daughter's hair was distracting.
To speak to what
That's why
Rounds
she
was
cut it.
saying about somebody needs to take that to court, where is Jamila's
It has been
comment
taken to
about the
court,
Crown
but
Act?
when that's the point of it
There it
has
is.
been taken to court. Um,
Yep.
unfortunate, but unfortunately, in some areas of the country, the courts themselves have been. I mean, they're the. It's not even in some areas of the country. It's just in some areas it's worse than in other areas. But the judicial system feeds into the systemic racism more often than not. I mean, you look at that school in, or the county in Tennessee that was literally arresting children for laws that don't exist. Black children,
The same thing
only
happened at my
black.
high school, and it was insane. My cousin, there was this home ec teacher, and it was time for end of class, and she told my cousin to go put his stuff away. And he was like, all right, I'm finna finish this last stitch. And after that, I got you. And she was like, you got me? Oh my God, what do you mean? He was like, I got you. Like, I'm gonna do it in a minute. And she was like, I feel threatened. And literally called the office. The office called the police. The police came and arrested him. He got a terroristic threatening charge at 15. And um my uncle who
For
was
Ebonics. Now listen to
exactly.
this. Listen to this. Because this is something that we need to pay attention to in very specific tandem, because hearing somebody get arrested for using this same language that now is called AAVE, or, or
Hmm.
now just called Instagram slang, listen to that. Just think about that. Think about what kids are now calling Instagram culture.
Mm-hmm.
Got a
Literally.
black kid arrested.
First
Do you
charge
understand what I'm saying?
ever. Like he was doing the other stuff that he could have got other charges for. That's a different conversation too. But the
T-
first actual
Shout out to
charge he
him.
got was for that in school because he said, "I got you," to a
And
white
to further
racist teacher who didn't give a fuck anyway.
Yeah.
and to talk about it being still prevalent in the workplace, Ryan commented and said that I had locks for 12 years and they weren't considered professional in a casino. Plenty of jobs were turned down for it. Ryan, you sound
Mm-hmm.
sexy. Please slide in my
Don't he?
DMs. Ryan sounds so fine. And when he was in here talking about slide in my D. Hey Ryan. Hey boo. Who is this in my background? Hold on. What's going on, y'all? I'm about to bring up two other guests before I say something that I probably shouldn't say on live. Ryan, you know where to find me, baby. I'm about to bring up naturally Nikaya, and I'm gonna bring up Doll Baby as well,
Yeah.
so we can kind of bring some more opinions in on this conversation. So let me bring the girls in. What up, Nikaya? What up, Doll Baby? How's it
Hello,
going,
hello,
ladies? What's up,
Hello,
baby
hello.
everyone.
gorgeous?
Hey y'all.
Hello.
I'm good. I'm good. Me and Dow baby was thinking the same time, huh?
Right.
Baby,
So we
y'all
been
hit,
thinking the
y'all was
same
right
time.
there together. I swear, like
Okay.
usually it makes a sound in my headset when somebody beeps in, and it beeped one time, but I saw two people, so I was like, "Whoa, what happened?"
Literally.
Let me go ahead and check before I get shut down, honey. Hold on, let's see what's up
Okay,
in
what's
here.
going on?
What's going on,
um,
y'all?
if y'all don't, Dow baby, if you don't mind, can I start first?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay, so I've been wanting to say so much in the chat,
Hmm.
but of course it's Saturday. You know your girl trying to get cute and stuff.
Doing the thing, do the
So,
thing. Self care,
so, huh?
self care, honey.
Oh,
Yes.
you know. Christian, first of all, I
Kristen,
appreciate you. It's what I'm sorry.
Kristen. I'm sorry.
Kristen, I'm sorry.
Hmm.
That's okay.
Um, first of all, I appreciate you wanting to have this conversation. I remember a live Jordan had before and you said something about having this conversation. So I've been waiting on it because I was interested to know what you said, what you had to say about things. Miss Joanna, girl, you didn't hit home in so many areas of your story over here. So it's like,
Sorry, y'all. Ryan got me laughing in the comments, but I'm not gonna bring it up while we talking serious. Ryan, stop playing with me. I'm
Ryan's
sorry.
doing too
Y'all
much.
go
You
ahead.
okay?
Ryan is doing the
What's
most.
the tea?
What
What
do
Okay.
do you
y'all?
wanna know?
Y'all, I'm over here flirting in the comments. Don't mind me. Go ahead.
But yeah, it just resonated a lot over here. As far as the hair, I'll start with the hair. When
Cause you have beautiful locks. Oh,
no,
Don't
actually
you?
I don't have locks. I'm thinking about locking
they're
that.
braids.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, then I
Hmm.
just need to find my damn glasses. But your hair is
No, you
beautiful
okay?
regardless.
It was probably the color that threw you off because I'm a natural redhead.
I
The
didn't.
older I
Oh,
get, yeah, the older I get, the darker it gets.
that's so sickening.
I know, right? I love it. I cannot put color in my hair at all. I'm scared it won't come back.
No, you scared of me cussing your ass out if you do. But go ahead,
Okay.
girl.
Thank you, then.
Um, as far as the cost, other races do spend a lot of money on their hair. I used to
Hmm.
be a stylist and I did it all because money is green and I was good at it. You know what I'm saying? It didn't matter who you were, what type of hair you had because of the training I had in school.
Hmm.
And so y'all
I
can
got a
cost me
question about
just
that for you too, Nakia. Sorry to interrupt. I got a question. When you
you
finish
okay.
what you're saying, I got a question about that too.
Okay. Um It's just we get ours done more often.
Mhm.
That's
I
what
think
it is.
I think that what I should have said better was like I can wash my hair once a week, use dry shampoo, throw it in a ponytail, and like that's cute. You know? Like
Mhm.
right now it's I mean you can see it's like this in this like bun thing, and like that's cute. But I don't have to spend anything else and no one will comment on my hair. No one will make
No,
a comment on my appearance if I don't say if my hair isn't like perfectly coiffed and whatever. Like whereas because of your like if you were to do something for your natural hair, people comment on it. Like it's like
Why
your
you ain't
hair
comb
is
your hair? Why you ain't gonna do
Mhm.
something to
yeah,
your head?
or
I
not
agree.
having your not having edges done or not having the
Girl,
wig on or
I
what it's
rebuke
just like the
edges, girl. I'm sorry.
expectation is that the expectation is that you know in order to be accepted you have to spend the time and the money to make your hair as white as possible, and it's just it's unfair and it's unrealistic and it creates yet another way to create otherism
Right.
otherisms.
Like we have
Yeah.
Mhm.
to do
I
it. We
yeah,
have
I
to
get
spend the money to
I
do it. We have to spend the
yeah,
time to do
I
it.
got all that. You said
Okay.
it right the first time, but I don't think anyone
He keeps
caught it
correcting me.
but me.
Kiki keeps correcting me with the language. Thank you so much, Kiki, because I so appreciate the fact that you are picking up what I am putting down in a so well. Thank you. Sorry,
Yeah,
Nakai,
but
go ahead.
can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Mhm.
Okay, because it looked like the screen froze. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're
So,
good, baby. We hear you.
If it
no,
starts to go like
you said it
metallic,
right the first time. You said acceptable. I heard you when you said acceptable, and you were
okay,
right. You were right.
okay,
So, I mean, but I'm glad you explained because everybody probably didn't catch it like I did.
okay.
You know
Well,
what I
that's why
mean?
I want to make
But
sure that I'm not
I just
saying
wanted
it
to touch
wrong.
base. Yeah, I just wanted to touch base on that aspect as far as price. Um,
Okay.
before I Joanna, before you forget what you had to ask, what
Oh,
did you
I
have
was
to
gonna
ask me?
say, did you find it? Because I know doing textured ethnic hair is different than doing most. And I say most because I had a couple of girls when I was in high school that were like trying to be like the most exclusive bougie white girls ever. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, sweetheart, I can look at your hair and tell that you got black somewhere in your genealogy. Cut that shit out. But for the
Yes.
most part, was it easier for you doing somebody's hair who was white? Because it's like, all right, I know what this
No.
texture gonna be like, I know what you're gonna need, versus doing although you black. So it wouldn't be like, well, I don't know what to
No.
do with your hair.
It was the individual person.
Okay.
Because not only do you have to deal with the texture or figure out the texture and what you're going to do with it, it's that person's attitude as well.
Right.
Because
Mm.
once you tell them, no, that's not going to look right, or I cannot do that to your type of hair, then you got
Mhm.
to deal with the attitude. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So I just was trained very well
Mhm.
that I had a balance when I graduated and I went to an all black salon afterwards. And my instructor, the head instructor, said, "You too talented. If you go to an all white salon and get the practice, do what you got to do, I will erase your balance." And he stuck to his word with that.
You better work.
Wow.
So I cut every mannequin in there. I colored. I would cut my hair and do different types of colors on it just to see how my color and my texture will react. And when I cut a client's hair, I would ask them, could I keep their hair and do that same thing? So it's just,
To sell yourself short, Ryan.
you
Sorry,
know,
Nikaya.
so
What Ryan is
no.
saying is that Ryan said too talented. What her instructor was saying, my interpretation of what your instructor was saying was that you're too talented to sell yourself short and only
Yeah, to just
do a
limit
certain type of
myself.
people's hair.
Yeah,
Right? You could go and do any
yeah,
type of hair that you wanted to. So
yeah.
if you go out there and really put your talent to the streets and really go and get the entirety of the bag that you can get, then he's
Mm-hmm.
willing to do what he needs to do on his end
Yeah.
to meet you halfway. That's
Yeah,
what she was saying.
he wasn't offensive. I didn't take it like it was any kind of slur of any nature. I didn't take it like that. What he was saying was don't limit yourself. And that was well over 20 years. I could be using the wrong word that he used.
Wait,
Just to keep
your
it
memory's
real.
not perfect?
You know? Mm-mm. I smoked too much in my early years. So,
Listen.
Nikaya, I just have to. Do you watch Beverly Hills at all?
yes.
Okay, so I wish that Teddy had had you in her life to tell her that her transformation into Kyle was never gonna look that good with this new hairstyle. She can't.
What? I love
The
her
shade
hair
from me. Come on,
brown.
Kristen.
Wow.
She's
I was
never
Oh,
over
gonna look
Teddy
that
soon
good
as
if
she
she tries
walked
to
in the
be
door.
Kyle. As soon as I
this
saw
is the
that
real
picture, I was
discourse
like,
of this
oh my God, she
conversation.
wants to be Kyle so bad. She's
Man,
really trying, except it doesn't look good. Like,
I
it
no, it
doesn't
don't.
love
look
the
good.
chocolate brown on her. Why do
No,
It
I
don't.
stay
it
with an
doesn't
unpopular
suit
opinion about
her.
housewives?
No, it
Don't.
doesn't suit her. She,
Mm-mm.
like, what? First of all, why did she get all over one color, no highlights, no lowlights, just all over
That's what I would do.
chocolate brown that does not go with her skin tone or eyes?
Maybe
Cause
it's just me.
she's
Maybe I
Teddy.
just like the color. Maybe I just like the chocolate brown color and I haven't really looked at it on
You know who
her.
else likes that
Maybe that's
color?
just me.
Kyle, because she wakes up with it every day.
Yeah, I
Well,
like that
I'm
color,
also
but
the
not on
person
Teddy.
that thought that Kyle looked good with bangs. So we clearly can't trust my opinion around here when it comes to hair on housewives. So I'm gonna just go ahead and let the professionals and women who know what they talk about the hair, because I'm bald for a reason.
Mm-mm. I will cut it there. I don't want to be rude to Dow Baby because I had so much more to say, but I don't want to just keep going and Dow Baby just sitting there.
Oh, you're not bothering me. I
I
like hearing
figured,
y'all
but
talk.
you the
I like
sweetest.
hearing y'all talk.
I mean,
Uh,
I mean, just things hit home. Like I don't think
yeah.
people know that the KKK actually
Mm.
started here in Indiana.
Yeah, I think I brought that comment up earlier too when you posted
Mm-hmm.
it in the chat. I was like, "Oh my word." I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
remember that, but I just because I read a lot of these little things in passing where like I'll just like watch documentaries, read books, read articles, Google things, and I'll just take these little tidbits that I won't know too much about, but I'll just hear these little things and I'll just carry them with me forever so I can recall these
Mm-hmm.
random facts about weird stuff.
Here, you want a
But yes,
Mm-hmm.
random
I do
fact?
remember reading that.
You want
Hmm?
a random fact?
Please, I love a random fact while I bring
Random
in
fact.
Kiki.
Random fact from
Hi,
yours
Kiki.
truly is our Jim Crow laws are what taught Nazi Germany how to write the Nuremberg laws to target the Jews.
Thank you, Kristen. You
Wow.
always coming with some real. I also want
This is why I love
to.
you girls,
We
honey, because
also
So,
y'all
want
is
to.
so it's
educated and
our
being
laws.
true.
It's our laws written,
Mhm.
following the Civil War were used as the blueprint so that the Nuremberg laws, which were enacted to strip Jews of their human rights and their societal, God, my mind's going blank. So their place in society were they used the Nuremberg laws to do it. And those laws were derived in totality from the Jim Crow laws written in the US.
Kristen is as
Mm-mm.
cultured as Dorit. thinks she
Girl,
is.
okay, no, Dorita
Right.
went to be.
Well,
Absolutely.
I've never
Okay.
left the U.S. Dorit at
Kristen
least
is a
lived
student
in
of the right
Europe.
world.
There we go. Well, I want to also add that eugenics did not come from Hitler's Germany. It did not also come from. It didn't start with the Holocaust either. It actually started in America. They learned that practice of eugenics from Americans, how they were sterilizing and forcing abortions and hysterectomies on Black women and Indigenous peoples. So if we want to really get into what's wrong in human rights, don't point at Germany, point it right back to America because they get
Right.
everything that they learn, they got it from us.
Exactly.
Period. And people
Or
love
about it.
crediting dude who's the father of gynecology for all of
Yes,
these amazing innovations. It's like, he practiced all this shit on black
on Black
slave
women,
women
on
though,
Black
right?
Oh yeah.
slaves,
Oh
exactly.
yeah.
The
We was
first speculum
always the
was
guinea
two
pigs
spoons that
for
he
everything.
shoved
Every
inside
time,
a woman
Yep,
was
and then
in
Mhm.
that,
the
like, it's
every
this
crazy.
time.
this is I only found out a lot of this stuff after my horrible incident and having that conversation with my dad and really learning like to research. Which newsflash, if you ever want to learn about uh, the history of racism, go to a public library in the state of Maryland and say you want to
Mm.
learn because oh oh the amount of books like that I got put in front of it was crazy. So I mean, like, I had this converse and she didn't even say anything to me. She just started stacking books in front of me and I
Wow.
just okay, let's read. So that's how I started, was to unlearn the behaviors. And I had to read a lot of stuff, like, but one of the things that I was gonna go on that point. Oh, hi, Jamila. I was gonna go on that point. It was the public library in Waldorf, the big one. So
Because that was gonna be a question I had. I was gonna be like, which one? Because I don't
Right.
do touristy attractions. When I go places I ain't never been
Mm.
before, there's just a couple places I want to go. Somewhere that I can get some real history that don't nobody talk about, and some place that I can get some good lemon pepper wings. I don't ask for much.
but
I don't ask for
the
much.
so the it's one of the things I read was about the genetics in the United States, like the scientific study of genetics in the United States was started because as a way for some organizations of higher learning to combat the rise of mulatto children. They wanted to know how many generations would pass before they no longer were able to see how much essentially, Black person was in the blood
Oh
in
yeah,
this
I could
next
believe that.
children. So like that's why, like, when I started seeing some YouTubers do lives, and Meghan Markle was getting discussed. I have literally brought this up so many times. Like, do you understand that what science, scientists did after, in the United States to try and figure out how many, generations have to go by before a slave owner is no longer able to recognize one of his own children, like how that's all of that. And then now we have this conversation regarding Meghan Markle and her children and what they might look like. That's why I brought it up so much. And that's why you guys see me hammer at home so much on social media is because I've heard it and I'm like, no, I've recognized this. I've read about this in the last few years. That's why, that being said, is not a concern or a conversation. It's a way to start a discussion that leads them in a very particular direction.
Right.
Oh, there she
Mhm.
is. Go pick it up. Harry A. Washington's Medical Apartheid. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I'm not going to show the
I
cover
Bingo.
love
of the
y'all
book.
girls, cause honey, listen. This is the type of shit that I love, cause
Oh yeah.
she's in the middle of a rebrand right now. She's figuring some things out. She's lost a few subs, and she shaved her eyebrows again just out of stress. So she's figuring it all out. Okay. Now I appreciate that. Not only like are you guys on this ride with me to like really talk about the real shit that goes on, but like the amount of perspective and understanding and education and information that comes with you ladies just contributing to my channel. I really appreciate every single one of you, because the fact that Kristen just brought that up, threw it out there, and then Kiki just knocked it out the park with the reference, girl, with the reading material, girl, bravo.
I
This is
mean,
what we're
look,
talking
teamwork,
about, children. This is how you
teamwork.
do it. This is how you do it, children. I love that. Thank you
Well,
so much.
I will.
By the
I
way,
want to. Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. By the way, Fae Tarot, go ahead and call in. That was why brought, that was why I brought your comment up.
So I did want to bring up one additional thing that I learned, which I had not been aware of, and I wanted to ask a conversation to you guys about. Is because I have had a few people tell me that referring to a Black person as Black and not a Black person, specifically using that language, is offensive. I
Do
have
you mean
been told,
calling them? Wait,
like, if
hold on,
I were
hold
to
on.
say, like, this is, like, my friend Jordan is Black instead of my friend Jordan is a Black person.
Okay, because
Mm.
I
Oh
thought you meant
no.
something completely different. I
I
thought
thought
you
you
were
meant
saying more
black.
so like I am going somewhere where I've seen Black people versus I've gone somewhere where I've seen a lot of Blacks. That's
Yeah,
where I thought that,
That's
that,
two
that
I
you
thought
were
different
you
going with
meant
that, and
things.
I was
black,
like,
like
whoa, hold
collectively.
on.
No, no, but I think
Yeah.
that actually is a really good way to put into it about how the way we use language matters,
Mhm.
because referring to an entire group of people as, the plural of a color, you don't say
Hmm.
I'm going to dinner with a bunch of whites. Like, come
Right.
on. Like,
Right.
like, that's not
Hey,
how, like, we
Firefly.
don't have that. We don't do those conversations, and like, and I'll give you an example. I have a very good friend who's who is a naturalized American citizen.
Mhm.
She's from Africa. She's not Black. She's, and yet, the fact that my friend is like, when she goes to put, like, to check the boxes, there's no box for
Hmm.
her. And, like, people are like, "Oh, well, you're African American." And she's like, "No, no, I'm not." And they're like, "No, but you are literally from Africa and you are an American." And she went off on me on this, like, thing about how nobody should identify as African American, about how that's incredibly offensive. No one is a
Hmm.
continent. And it
Thank
also
you.
says that you can only be an American if you have another identifier.
I
Mm.
hate, y'all. I
So,
hate where my mind goes because
Can we get
we're
into
having
this
a
real
very
quick?
sure.
Yeah, because we're having a very serious conversation, and my mind, as soon as you said nobody is a continent, the only thing that I thought about was Raven Simonier, and that's really how her name is pronounced, Simonier. I All I thought about was her on The View saying, "I am from every continent in Africa." And I
Hmm.
was like, that's so inappropriate to be thinking right now. Hey, Fireface Jesse, go ahead, Kiki, and then I want to shoot down to Fireface to see what she had to say because I'm
Okay.
tripping right now.
Okay, real quick. I'm not gonna show the cover of the book, but y'all, it is a red book and it is written by a Black woman. Medical apartheid. Yes, pick it up. I read it in a public health class and I haven't looked back. I still reference it. Y'all, it looks so bad. Look at this. It looks really bad because I
no,
use it
that's
all the
great.
time.
That means it's
Thank
used,
you.
honey. Yes, I
I use
love
Exactly.
the
it
book.
all
Speed
the
up,
time.
child.
Right.
I have
Like,
so
you
many
don't
notes.
when I tell you I read 10 to 15 books a week. I mean, I've told Jordan
Oh,
before, I read
girl.
all the time, but, like, I read
Yes.
constantly. So if I can add something that isn't like a cozy murder mystery into the mix,
Yeah.
my brain will thank me. So,
Yeah, I used to read like that too, but like honestly, being in school, I don't have time to read for pleasure anymore. I read because I have to. But I did want to get on what you talked about blacks and using that word as a collective. One thing I hate about that is we're not a collective. That's the problem with that whole thing. Blacks. Oh, the blacks are doing this, or the blacks. First of all, I'm not just a color. We're not a monolith, and you are not going to describe us as we are like objects. That's
And
very
I'm also
disrespectful.
not just black. I'm also half Panamanian. So
I'm
Exactly.
dead.
I'm the- but
I'm one eighth.
uh I'm
Right.
sorry
I'm
y'all.
1/8 European.
Right. Like I'm 125th Peruvian.
Right.
Girl,
I think our
You don't
fire Fae
shit.
meant to talk and then we lost her. She's like
Oh,
No,
talking,
go
she's
we
ahead,
can't
baby.
hear her.
muted.
right. But I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna add
Wait,
to
I
what
think
you
you're
said,
muted.
Kiki. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Because we have a lot of, because of what happened in the slave era, we are not just
Mhm.
black people, and
Yes,
we have
we
a lot
don't know
of,
where we come from. We don't know our roots, so that
and if you
that African American doesn't apply.
right, because I know I did our DNA, and we turned out with
Hmm.
Blackfoot Indian, Irish, Danish, all of those things. I'm like, that's why my daughter got red hair. I didn't know because our name back in the day was the Forellis, my
Oh
family
yes,
name,
very
and then they
Irish.
changed it because of our slave owners was
Yeah.
Forellis, and then they changed it to Farrell. Like, okay, so you have to go all the way back to actually find out, and still don't find out everything.
I
Yeah,
think
but
that
I
I
want to
mean
add to
I
that.
think it's interesting. I think that now that we have moved into a day and age where so many people have had their DNA tested and to find
Mhm.
out their ethnic profiles and things like that, like it's real. Well, first of all, a lot of people are having to learn what an ethnicity is. I think a lot of
Right.
people aren't aware that countries are not ethnic backgrounds, that
Yes, it's a
that's a
nationality.
nationality. Yeah.
Exactly.
And that your culture is a culture, it's not your ethnicity. So I think a lot of
Right.
people unfortunately have, because with they're spoken about in the same context,
Shout out
and
to the Dominicans.
so now we're having to acknowledge, like, no, that's not true. And like I mean,
Mhm.
I had my DNA tested, and like a month ago, 2 months ago, I got an email telling me that my ethnic profile had been updated. And I remember, opening my ethnic profile and looking at it, and I literally had to ask myself, like, I'm turning to my husband, like, is this even possible? I got whiter, and
I got whiter. I love that.
I got whiter. Like,
Wow.
I didn't know, like, I thought at some point all of us, have like a percentage, however minute, to show that we all basically come from the cradle of creation.
And
I
speaking
don't.
on that, let me correct myself. I'm also not just African American. I'm also Panamanian as well. Because, being Panamanian is to also be black, but that's a whole nother conversation. So,
Right,
But
but
it was
yeah.
fun. It was funny though, like that started a conversation like between,
Wonder if my
and
ear
then I was like,
wireless
wow,
earbuds would be able to connect to my computer.
hey,
Oh,
There
we
it
can
is.
hear you. We
Oh,
can
There it is,
it
girl. We
working?
hear you
we
now.
can
Hey,
hear
we
girl.
can
you.
hear you.
Yeah, okay, I figured it out. I'm sorry, I'm not a
Good.
tech person.
okay, no, you're fine. So no, but so like now though, all these other people are, they're having their DNA tested, but they're having like the opposite reaction of mine, where I expected, that, oh, it'll be updated, it'll be, more specific, whatever. I didn't anticipate that, like, they would narrow it down, but the other way. But a lot of people are getting that and they're having the opposite reaction. They're like, what do you mean I'm, 5% African, or however, this percent? And I'm going to use the word, but please understand, I'm using the word to refer to the specific group that this word applies to. I am not using this for indigenous peoples, but I know someone who got their test back and they found out that they were Aboriginal, and they took, they didn't even understand what that meant. And I had to, I shared it on social media, and then I got told, like, don't use that word. And then I had to, be like, no, really, like her, she's from Australia. So it's like, that's an actual term. But a lot of people though they're having to learn about the languages of what's an ethnic group, what isn't an ethnic group. Okay, what's like a certain percentage of your blood work if you believe that you are a white person. Well, what percentage do you have? Because a lot of these people now are having to face it, you know, from a scientific standpoint, that
Mhm.
white isn't white, and it never has
Yeah.
been.
It never
right.
Which
was.
is why we should be taught in schools the difference between race and ethnicity. which is
Yeah.
something that I have been having so much complication as like, well, not recently, but like in schools, nobody explained to me because I was the person that was like, nobody in school taught me that to be Panamanian was to also be black, right? Or the
Mm-hmm.
difference between race and ethnicity. So when I'm filling out standardized tests, I'm just filling out other because there's nowhere where I see, like the whole black non Latino thing and the whole
Yeah.
standardized test thing, that always threw me completely off because I'm like, my mother is 100% Panamanian. Like, what does that even mean? So eventually I learned that you actually hit both and you say, yes, I am
Mm-hmm.
Hispanic and then black African American. So I'm like, I just, like all of these things, like it seems like they always leave out so many things that should be just normalized in like curriculum, like from
Mm-hmm.
even just interracial like interaction to where like learning how to, um, be more culturally aware when you're interacting with people, especially because with America being a melting pot, all the way down to not teaching us how to do damn taxes. Now, they did teach me to write a check. I will
There's
give
a
Westover
reason for
Senior High
that.
School that.
Right.
But there is reason for that.
Yes.
Jesse,
Yeah,
please
definitely a
take it,
reason
babe.
for that.
No, babe. I agree with you because there is no discussion in schools at all in regards to race, heritage, culture, ethnicity, its color. It's all different and it's all important to that person because that's what identifies who they are and how they are and what makes them how they be. And I was always going to ask, my other question is when I was realized I was muted was my question is I'm not a person of color. So if I don't acknowledge that you are a black individual, do I not see you? Aren't I supposed to acknowledge that you're black, but not
Hmm.
like emphasize it? Like oh my
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
God, like
Yes,
that's a black girl. Like
the
Yes.
short
but if I
answer.
don't
It
acknowledge
applies
you're
to the
black, it it,
context.
it doesn't acknowledge
Well,
who you are, you know?
you
Like
just said
it's
it's
all
true.
contextual. It's all
Yes.
contextual. Like if you acknowledging that I'm black has nothing to do with the point of the conversation, then it's unnecessary. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're saying that you went to, like, let's say if, how can I, somebody help me with an example here.
Okay, so an
Like,
example would be that me and my friend we went out and something happened, but my friend was arrested, and they
thank
happened to
you.
be the
We
only
got
black
pulled over by the
person in the
police
group.
and
Exactly.
they
They happened
searched
to be
her
the
because
only
she
black
was
person.
black.
Exactly. Something like that.
Okay.
But if you're like, oh, we went to the movies and we had a good time, I went with my black friend. Girl, why you have to throw that in
Why?
there?
Why did
Right.
you have to
You
tell
know
me
what I
that?
mean? Like,
I understand.
But
Okay,
if you're
that makes
they
saying
sense.
like
didn't
me
do
and my
it.
friend got like followed around a store for two
There you
hours and we
go.
don't know why, then
Mm-hmm.
it would be contextually accurate to mention
Okay.
she was
Yeah.
black.
She was
Right.
black. Okay.
Because a part of acknowledging a person's ethnicity is also realizing that there are things that come with that person being black or being X, Y, and Z a minority. Because
This is
there's a
the
lot
part
of
of the seeing
implicit
color conversation.
exactly. There's a lot of implicit bias that happens. There's a lot of unconscious bias that exists out there. People like again being followed around the store. I'm not stealing, but that white girl over there is, and they're not paying attention to her. But they
Yeah,
follow me all around the store. You get what I'm saying?
Or
absolutely.
going into like like going to Walmart and as we're walking out, whose receipts are they checking? Because they never
Oh,
check
they check
mine.
mine all the
Exactly.
time, honey.
Whose
I'm not
baskets are
white
they
Hispanic.
checking?
Never check
Right.
mine.
They check me.
Never.
Okay.
Right.
They
So
never
I could be
check me.
walking out
Like
the store with
this,
a
don't
water
let
bottle
this
and that is all
slide.
I
This was
have.
3.5, 4 hours. Okay, this took
Right.
work.
She was a
I
little
remember
antsy.
your
Let me
comment.
tell
Yes,
That's why you
like
didn't see me last night, Jordan. You know how long this took? I needed a nap. I had to take a
Jesse,
break in
you.
between. I needed some coffee. I needed some adult time. You know.
very
Right.
that child. I could use some adult time right. That ain't y'all business.
Oh,
Anyway,
You
oh,
know
no,
what?
we
We
no,
could
we can
have
talk
had
about that on my channel, Jordan, though. We can talk about that. I
Rosemary.
got the naughty cards.
Rosemary, we could have had a great conversation about race and ethnicity,
Mhm.
especially from regions that are known to be extremely blended in their societies. But Beverly Hills didn't bring Joyce back. And
Mhm.
they didn't bring her back
Yeah.
because they chose instead to keep Brandy, and it was better to keep Brandy Glanville than it was to keep uh, Joyce Giroux.
That's because of the drama with Sheena and the husband and all of that. There was something to talk about with that story. It's the only reason why Brandy ever stayed on that show, at least in my opinion. I'm sorry.
Well, Brandy came back to bite them in the butt.
But here's the thing, though. They had someone being racist on camera. They had someone
they never addressed it. That's what my main issue was.
There is the only time it was addressed was that one time.
That's why they ran away from New York.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Because they didn't want to address it.
It was addressed one time, and that was when Brandy had a conversation with her token black friend.
Rules, because
she had a conversation with her black friend and asked her black friend, "Am I racist?" And her black friend was like, "No." And she was like, "Well, this," and then proceeded to speak about, someone from Puerto Rico.
I remember it now. Okay, you just jogged the memory.
How she kept calling her, instead of calling her Joyce, she kept calling her Jacqueline.
Oh,
and saying it,
Jacqueline.
That was so
Jacqueline.
Racist. Yeah. Oh my God, that was racist. And I just remember watching that, and I was just cringing.
So that's why we never had that conversation, is because that's who they chose. Bravo had a woman of color on there on what they consider a white show, and they had a woman of color. She pointed out that she was a woman of color and that she was not considering herself to be a white person. And she was very open about all of that. And what happened is, that doesn't make for good TV. What makes for good TV is keeping Brandy Glanville, who is, the person who got her one black friend to say she wasn't racist.
Right. Side note, that's part of the reason that my mom gave me my name. She was like, when I got old enough, because I have a cousin named Quinshanta, and she was like, listen, I was like, why did you give me this name? She was like, look, part of it is because your grandmother's middle name was Joanne, and I wanted to keep her name alive, even though she's not here. But the most part of it, to be honest,
I wanted you to be able to get a job any damn way you went.
Exactly. And I was like 5 or 6, and she was like, I'm going to want you to soar to the highest heights that you can. But I'm also aware of the fact that if your name was Quinshanta, it's not going to matter what your credentials look like. It's not going to matter what school you went to. It's not going to matter what experience you have. Some people in some places, especially in the upper echelon, which is where I want you to be, will look at your job application and be like, quick. What? Never mind.
No, that's totally true.
Can I piggyback off of that?
That was something. Oh, I'm sorry, Jordan.
No, go ahead, baby.
Oh, I was going to say, I took a techno sociology class in college, and we read a news article written by a Hispanic man who had sent out his resumes, and he wasn't getting hired anywhere. And as he was, getting more and more frustrated, so he started sending out his resume twice to the same companies. So he would send a resume, Jose, and his last name, and then he would send the identical resume, Joe, and his last name.
Not surprised.
And because of that, he said Joe got callbacks, Joe got interviews. Jose did not. Jose never even got thank you for applying emails. You can find it because he wrote an article about it. I mean, this was years and years ago, but nonetheless, it's your mom doing that for you, Joanna. She's totally right, completely right. And
that's so sad though. It's sad. That's sad.
I was gonna piggyback off of that.
We have to think about our kids' future. That's why I made a decision for my kid's name, because I knew where I wanted them to go.
And mine's an Anthony John. I had no worries. My son is white. Now, is it true? No, I'm serious. I work with a black woman. She's 51. She told me a story where she had to explain, because she raised 3 children, that she told her kids that don't you ever go off with your white friends alone, because she was afraid that they wouldn't come back. Is this a common? I was gonna say you're not the okay. This is real, Jordan. Oh my God.
Yes, that's
Yes,
100%
very
real.
real.
Oh my
And
God,
just
I've
like
really?
that
100%
black
been told
lady
that.
who was at like the sleepover with all of her white friends, and she ended up dead, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, I don't know
Yes,
what the fuck happened.
yes.
I don't know.
Oh
The
my
fuck
Just
God.
the
you
other
I,
mean?"
day, just the other day, you had
I was
that.
raised by the daughter of sharecroppers,
Oh
so
shit.
I was
Right.
raised with that, like literally, like no, we
Okay.
don't do that. We don't go nowhere by ourselves. We
I mean,
don't
there's
stay
still
out past the
sundown
street
towns
lights
out
by
there in
ourselves.
Alabama and such like that. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Correct,
out
and
there.
this is
Correct.
in
It's
North
right,
Carolina
but
too. So
you
it's
have
like
it.
it's
You have a lot of people though that are never going to even acknowledge, like they won't even acknowledge that a person who is white and a person who is black or is Asian or whatever, they're not going to accept that they're related. Even, I mean, we have just yesterday that story came out that a Southwest Airlines employee reported a mother for human trafficking because she was flying with her own daughter. Her husband is black. Her daughter looks black. The mother was
Right.
detained as a potential human trafficker for flying with her own child. And the opposite has also been true for many, many years. And we get these people who are so focused on, well, how you look, well, that must be reality or that must be truth, even though the only thing is it's only that person's truth because it's coming from their perception.
It
I
makes
wanted
me
to
feel like
piggyback
white.
off.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jordan. Go ahead, baby.
Just really quick, I wanted to piggyback off of what Joanna was saying about being named certain things, right? And mind you, I'm going to display what my dead name is for the sake of this conversation, but don't ever call me that or we will fight. Um, like
Respectfully.
just
Don't do
dead
it.
ass pair. like
You're
like
like,
just
no, no,
fair
no. We will
just
throw down.
fair
Yeah.
Pulling up.
just fair warning.
No,
But
really.
On
my
these
mother
YouTube
named me
streets.
Isaiah for that
I know how to get rid
reason,
of a body,
right?
Jordan. Just saying.
That's a beautiful name.
Period. Thank you. But she named me after the basketball player, not the prophet. Don't get too excited. So,
Don't
um,
do that, Stacy.
so I'm just
I can't.
saying, don't get too
I
excited.
can't.
But she named me that for that reason. And
Mm-hmm.
like even that thinking plays into today's psyche because when I picked my name Jordan, I chose a name that was culturally ambiguous and it was also genderly, that's not a word, but genderly ambiguous as
Well, why
well
not? Let's
for
make
Right.
it
different
work.
reasons.
Jordan could
For
be a girl. Jordan could be a dude. Jordan could be
Yes.
white. Jordan could
Yep.
be
and I
black.
did
Jordan,
That's
you don't
right,
know what
Cassie.
Jordan is.
Absolutely.
and I
Yep.
did that for very specific reasons. Um because I knew the way that I was going to present myself and the way that I identified, right? So I knew that regardless of however I chose to walk into a room, it wouldn't be a complete shock because if somebody saw me, somebody who identifies as a trans woman, walk into a room dressed, still presenting quote unquote stereotypically masculine, they wouldn't be surprised that my name is Jordan versus me walking in like this and my chosen name being Keisha. Do you get me?
Hmm.
It's the same thing, but that's a whole different conversation. But I wanted to just piggyback off of that because I think that same thing.
Makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Yeah,
But
I
what
can
were you saying,
actually
Jesse?
relate. I'm
Oh,
sorry, go
sorry. Go
ahead.
ahead, baby.
No, let her go. It's okay. I had a squirrel moment. I saw something over there and I forgot. I'm like, squirrel.
Like, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh my God. That's over the hedge, isn't it?
Yes.
The little squirrel moment? Yeah.
Yes. Over the
But
Yes.
hedge. Thank you. Yes.
but
Right. Check your reference, right, Jordan? No.
okay.
Clock your references,
Clock
children.
it.
Girl,
Yes.
clock it. But I was gonna say that I can actually relate to the name thing. My mom named me my actual name is Kibiana,
Hmm.
and it's a beautiful name. However, I do
Hmm.
not like the way that my father spelt it. So as an ode to himself and his own mom, I do have a letter in my name that is not it's silent. Um and yeah, girl, of course, you ain't gotta worry about that. But yeah, like I can definitely relate to the not wanting your name to be palatable to your white audience because That's who sit in a lot of these places when we're applying for jobs. That's who's on the HR board. That's who's on the hiring teams and the diversity, whatever. It's not necessarily a lot of us in those rooms when they're looking at our resumes. So, yeah, like I
It's not a
just
lot of
think,
Jamal the interns.
okay,
No,
not enough
no.
of them.
Clock your references,
Um,
children.
okay, the real,
Hello. Hey, Auntie Lonnie. Hey.
Yeah.
for real,
Exactly.
money all day. But yeah, like so I did change the spelling of my name just to be the way that it is pronounced. All I did was take out one letter though. So it was pretty easy to do that. I've actually now legally changed my name to the spelling of the way it sounds. So having to do things like that because my accolades and my accomplishments are not enough to get me in the rooms that I deserve to be in is very, very disappointing, especially because now as a college graduate, now a two-time college graduate, it doesn't
Yes.
thank you, I appreciate that. But I will say this,
Period.
girl, them degrees don't mean nothing no more, to be honest. They don't have the value that they used to
No,
have.
they don't
So
at
Fact.
all.
Exclamation
really,
point.
Which is
Not
sad.
at all.
right, and that's the sad part about it. It really doesn't really matter
Sold
anymore.
a lie.
Girl, what? They sold that
We was
dream
sold a lie.
and let's
We
start
got
to
Sold the whole
depreciate.
$60,000 worth of
They
dream.
didn't
lies.
start to
45
depreciate
for me,
until
guys, so I get you.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. They didn't start to depreciate until we saw more minorities going after them. Because we do know that
Right.
Black women are the most educated group in America.
Yes.
Speak
I
on
was
it.
really hoping that nobody threw that in
Yep.
Wendy's face when she was screaming at Ashley that she had 4 degrees. I was hoping Ashley didn't come back with, "Well, what does that mean though?" Like, but what does that
Well,
mean
that's
though?
the reality. That's the
But
reality.
she
We don't
actually
feel
had
like
a
it anymore.
response. She's actually working in fields that I think. Well, I don't necessarily know because I don't know what her degrees are. I ain't teach at her damn school.
Yeah.
But but from what I know, I think her degrees are in line with her field. But how rare is
I
that
believe it's
though?
communications and broadcasting nature of things of that nature. I don't quote me though.
She has a
I want to go back to school for broadcasting, but I'm like, what have I been doing the past 3 hours? I'm sitting here broadcasting right
baby,
now.
But get your
experience. I
Exactly.
was just
YouTube
gonna say
degree. You
that
got this, boo.
experience is way more than a degree. You ain't getting
Mm-hmm.
nowhere with a degree no more. It don't matter what school you went to, because I went to amazing schools. But
Yep.
don't nobody care about that.
No, they don't.
Nobody cares. So I'm sitting up here in debt trying to pay it off on my own because I can't find a job in my field that's paying me my worth.
Trying
Yep.
to get a
So
job to pay off the damn student loan debts, but you can't get hired in
okay,
your field because you don't have the experience because you just got out of
right,
school. Hi,
Exactly.
Catch
exactly.
22. My name is Jordan. How are you?
For
Yes,
real.
Jordan. Preach.
Exactly.
Preach. Louder for those in the back.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I
You
told
look
my
at that
nephews to do
better.
trades, go to a trade school.
I told my
Exactly.
son the same
Yes.
thing. He's looking
Natalia,
into
you was
welding.
right.
Yes.
That's what I went to job for computer service
Oh,
technology.
there you
Hi,
go.
hi, how
Mhm.
are you?
I
Hi.
will say this with
Jordan's
degrees, I
YT.
really okay. I was just gonna say that I'm getting more into tech now, so I'm gonna be
Why do you
working in
think
my
we're sitting in
field.
the matrix right now?
We are. We're in the
Right.
Clock the
metaverse.
background,
It's the
children.
metaverse. Metaverse.
Okay.
Listen.
Yes. Yes. Okay,
Which
so
is
then can I
part of the
just interject and
reason.
change the subject? Okay, so then can I please ask my fellow brother in here? I wore a bonnet out last night to go pick up dinner pizza. There was a black
Girl.
woman in there picking up her pizza as well. That woman turned around and looked at me and looked like she was going to stab me. Why?
Because you had a bonnet on?
Yeah, I had a hair bonnet on because, I have the Puerto Rican Italian hair. So
I was
I'll
about to
wear
say,
my sun
like,
bonnet.
I
Like,
was about to say, Puerto Rican women wear bonnets. Like, they also get
right? But
cornrows,
I
they get
mean,
braids,
look at my
they
picture.
get
Do I not
blowouts,
look
they use
white? I
got to
know
be
I look
blue.
white. I look white
Yes, you
though.
do, but you
I
look
was gonna
sexy
say
though. It's all
you do
right.
present
Can,
as
can
And
I?
I was raised white, redneck down here from the South. Like I got redneck family. I was out mud bogging. So I mean, I just have the other last name. So I mean, I take it. I'm white.
Can I?
I get that from a
Can
different
I answer
perspective.
that? Maybe not answer it, but
Yes,
give my take
please.
on it.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
go ahead, baby,
Okay,
please.
so I know from experience where I'm at
It was cute. It was from Sheen.
that when some bonnets are cute, I got a couple different cute ones to be
I
honest.
got one at the
It was blue and
listen,
mauve
mine at
colored.
home is reversible and it's black on the outside, but it's like a space gray snake skin on the inside, honey.
Mm-mm.
She is sickening. I've
Oh,
been waiting to
nice.
bust down Walmart at 2:30 in the morning with her on, honey. Just
I'm
wait.
dead.
You
Oh,
silly.
okay.
Where to the
Catch
name
me,
like
honey.
that?
She's bald under there, but that bonnet is on, okay?
Mm-mm.
Ooh, okay.
But
Go
yeah,
ahead, baby. I'm sorry,
from
Natalia.
here, um, I think a lot of blacks here, including myself sometimes, is like things are taken from us so much that when we see little stuff like that, it kind of like irritates us. Me, I don't care about the bonnet. Me personally, I'm not even gonna go out with a bonnet on, but to each his own. And I'm not about to look down at nobody that does either. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. But now, granted, I ain't gonna say I don't. Okay, I'm not gonna say I've never. I just try not to. How about that? So I mean,
That's what I was gonna say too, Nakia.
you got to just like a couple weeks ago, I had to run to the gas station. It was like 3:00 in the morning. I still had mine on. I had to think about that. And that was a mental note. Like, wait a minute, you didn't done that before now. But so it's, I don't think it's. I think it's just like with locks. It's some girls here that's white that has locks, and it's just like different stuff. You know, it's just different stuff here. I can't speak about other states, but how it is here. Like, I'm from Indiana. I was born and raised in Fort Wayne, Indiana, but I've been living in Kokomo, Indiana for about 11, 12 years. And Kokomo is in between Fort Wayne and Indianapolis.
That sounds like a good drink. I'm sorry. That sounds like a good drink.
A Kokomo?
A Kokomo sound like a good drink, honey. It sounds like
a real
like
tropical
like,
moment.
yeah, like it sounds like it got like chocolate or something in it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds a really good drink. That's definitely a good drink.
But yeah, I think it's just more that, and because
another thing could have been, you going out there just with the bonnet on it, because I grew up. My parents, my mother, and my grandmother said you don't go out the house looking any kind of way.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why I kind of pushed. They could talk while she was looking at you like that. Like, why you didn't?
Maybe. Like, why would you go out and tell our secrets? Like, how dare you? Yeah, I get it. But it was raining yesterday, and I was like halfway done.
It could have also been the thing of, like Nakia was saying, like, damn, we can't have nothing.
Yeah, a lot of people
like now y'all gotta wear the bonnets too, especially in the day and age where people are actually talking about bonnets. And
I mean,
how dare you wear that outside? You look ghetto, you look ratchet, you look raggedy. You could have did something to your hair, so it's definitely multifaceted.
Or is it more acceptable because I do look white? Like that's why I'm not being judged as much. Like say
that's Joanna's point. As black women, we're police when we wear it, but it's okay for you to do it. It's fine.
Which is why nobody wants to see Justin Timberlake's ass wearing braids or do-rag.
Or Kylie Jenner either. Or Kim Kardashian.
Or Kylie Jenner wearing a do-rag. Like, I'm sorry. We don't want to see it.
Like when Juliana Rancic said Zendaya looked like she smelled like patchouli and weed.
Patchouli oil.
But then Kylie Jenner had some, and it was like, oh my God, it's so innovative. It's so creative. It's like, bitch, how?
It's always fashion when it's somebody who looks like the palm does it, right? But when it's somebody that looks like the backhand does it, or at least my backhand.
I wasn't trying to appropriate anybody's culture, though. It's just it works.
We know that.
We get that.
We get that.
We know that. But she didn't know that.
This is where that comes into play because, and I want to talk about this because there is a difference where from somebody like Justin Timberlake wearing a bonnet or a do-rag and somebody like Fat Joe wearing a do-rag.
That's different.
Yeah, Can we elaborate on that? Because I don't
Justin Timberlake,
big old white boy.
I have to go.
Vulture. That's what he was doing. Because he wanted to get the black people to come over to his music, to buy his music. He wanted to cross over there to the R&B. That's why it was different. And then we're not going to throw in the fact that what he did to Janet, I haven't forgiven him for that.
I will never.
Listen, I'm
I
still
will.
listen. I
I ain't gonna
still
lie to
side.
you.
Listen, I like the Future Sex Love Sounds album, but this is one of
I
those
love his
moments where I
music,
really have to
but we
test
got to call
myself
him
and
out.
do I separate the artist from the art or not? I'm
I
still not over it. And me and Justin got
I
smoked.
never will
Sorry, love you to
be.
I
death.
love his
Okay.
voice and I
Jordan,
love his
I'm so
music.
I love
sorry.
it.
I hate to interrupt everybody, but I actually have to go now, guys. It's been
Oh,
3 hours and
oh,
15 minutes,
bye.
and
No.
I'm
Has
actually about to
it?
have to go. Listen, I'm actually about to have to go
Wait
too
so
because I
long.
have another live at 6 o'clock that I want to do, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to eat something. But
Yes.
Okay.
dog,
my
baby,
only
finish your
excuse
point, and
is
then I want to do like one round of final comments.
my mother-in I found out today my mother-in-law will be here tomorrow. She's bringing her mother and they'll be here for a week. So I'm literally
That's
like,
the
oh God.
devil.
Oh yeah, you
That's the
got to
Oh
devil
my
go.
at
God, we
work.
should
No,
send you
Especially
bottles
when
of
the in-laws come
booze.
into town, honey.
Poor
You gotta clean
thing.
the house from top to bottom because you want them
I
pouring out
know.
anything.
She
Yeah.
gonna need to go to the liquor store. That's where she
That's what
need
I
to
was gonna say.
go.
We should send her a care package of like a bottles of wine, some
To the liquor
Kahlua,
store and the
you know.
dispensary at this
All right.
point, because
I
Amen. And
want
Starbucks.
some gin.
Especially if they staying in your house, girl, you gonna need all the liquor, honey.
You a
Okay.
And some
saint.
Saint Germain.
Yeah. Don't
All
forget
of
your
it.
eye of
Period.
newt.
Yeah,
I'm
my
a Southern girl, child. Just throw a bitch some Hennessy. I'll be all right.
so
thank you then.
All
Yes,
of the
right.
same.
oh my
Just
Thank
give
God.
her
you.
Give
some
me
Oh my
SoCo.
God, that's so funny.
SoCo.
Sorry, I instantly, oh my God, this is like the worst joke to make ever. But um is anybody else old enough to remember when Cat Williams was like really popular?
Yes.
Yes.
And
good
how
Yes.
he's
times.
like, Hennessy, that's what you drink on your birthday, Jesus' birthday, the
Everybody
One
birthday.
hundred percent.
Yes.
There were no
Everybody's
lies
birthday.
told in the creation of that joke, honey. I'm
None at
sorry,
all.
like that's the drink that you pass around
Hennessy.
to the family
What was it? Oh,
reunion, to the
that was on
cookout, the fish
that
fry,
was
the bat
on
mitzvah.
the don't drink with your white friends because they'll drink anything. But your black friends, they drink Hennessy. Their birthday, Jesus' birthday, doesn't matter. Hennessy.
Yes,
That's what they
I'm
drink.
yes.
a living
That's
witness of
like that.
that.
Wow,
That
That's
I
like
haven't
is
that thing
true.
watched
where
that
black
in
people
so
smoke
many years.
Newports.
I'm gonna go.
I don't.
I'm literally like gonna go watch. I'm gonna go watch Pimp Chronicles part one because now I'm gonna have to remember
Send me the link and I'll drop it in the description box.
the Pimp Chronicles part one.
And,
Dita
I
said
don't
I'd
even
rather
know if you
Crown
can get it.
Royal.
I
Lord.
honestly, I don't even know if you can get it anymore. I think you might have to like. I think it was from my DVD
Yes,
days.
Ryan.
It's
Okay.
on YouTube.
Because I
It
was about
might
to
be
say,
on
we're not going to
Netflix.
talk
DVD
about all
era.
the torrents and
Ooh,
streamings and
peach and
stuff. We're
coke.
going to
That sounds good.
Ryan know
It
how to
does
play.
sound good.
I like.
Yeah,
Eh,
we
Wait,
don't have to
like
meet up with Ryan.
wait. Crown Royal with a slice of peach and a Coke, or Crown Royal peach
with like,
flavored?
yeah, because I
Both,
was
because
Flavored
I'm
drinking
a
Okay.
crown.
Crown
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 Royal
Royal
Apple.
drinker.
Peach flavored Crown Royal and Coke. It's a big thing down here in Florida right now.
Okay,
That Crown Royal Peach and
Sound
Coke.
good.
Yeah, it's good.
because I
It's
was
good.
drinking some Crown Apple last night and
Yes,
Coke.
honey. Yes.
Oh, child, I went to bed right on time, honey. He don't come when you call
That's
him, but
my
he hits
number
you right
one.
on time.
Every time.
You guys, well, actually, you ladies have been as lovely as ever. And I am so grateful that you kind of allowed me to speak on something and to step into it. And
Mhm.
that y'all didn't meet me with hostility, which you totally could have. And that let me talk about things that are less than pleasant. And at the same time, that you guys, once again, just y'all, Jordan,
You can
every
come to the
time I
cookout,
see
girl.
you,
You good.
every time I see you do a live and you bring more people on and I'm introduced to more of your subscribers and through watching the other lives from other creators and seeing more and more people and starting to recognize the names and the avatars and the faces and all of that. And I just feel so blessed that I get to like walk among you.
Oh,
So
Listen,
same here.
don't put
Well,
me on
y'all
no
everyday
pedestal, child.
folk.
We
Listen,
appreciate you as well.
Yes,
We appreciate
don't
you as
put me
well.
on
Absolutely.
no pedestal, child. Please do not, cause I'm clumsy as hell and I will fall right off. Don't put me up there, girl. I
oh
don't like
gosh.
heights like that. I ain't that cute. But
Oh,
I do
yes.
appreciate it because there has been nothing but love for you in these comments, and
Mhm.
I
glad.
am so grateful that you are willing to have this conversation, because while I think part of it is, while I think part of the conversation is, you know, people not wanting to have this conversation because they don't necessarily want to be reformed, but I think they don't also want to stand in front of that court of public opinion and take that, right?
Mhm.
Not everybody, you know, not everybody is going to get this type of
Mhm.
space, right?
I
Not
was
everybody is going to get this type of reception.
I was honestly prepared for like not being the more I shared, the more hostility that would create as
Not on my watch. Clock your references.
opposed to, you know, like that was like like thank you for sharing. You know, like I just anyway.
I think it's
Ryan!
thank you.
Oh my
I think it's
God.
thank you for acknowledging, because I know
Right.
for myself, a lot of us probably have heard the things you said,
Right.
but people
Which
don't want
one?
to talk about it.
A lot of
Anything
everything that
you said, but people don't want to talk about it like you did.
Well,
Mhm.
I know, I mean, I know when I look at the different shows that are on Bravo, and I mean, you guys, if you, well, actually, I take that back. I was about to say, if you heard me speak on it, but none of you guys did because I've been sick. So nobody heard me talk on it. But I got my COVID booster and I'm immunocompromised. So it's like my body overreacts to, you know, air. But
I've been chanting up a storm for her ass the past 3 days.
yeah.
Child.
But so that's why when the Dubai got released, like I just posted everything on Twitter and tagged everybody. And that
Yeah.
was because I don't feel good and I don't want to do it. And I don't, I just don't want to. And so I didn't, but that for me, you guys, if you have seen me on other shows or heard me talk on any of the other channels, like I've said how I was stepping away from Bravo and then I call in less and less. And the announcement of Dubai for me was the nail in the coffin. I can't. So I am done with all Bravo content at this point. I just can't. So that for me was.
Are you done with NBC as well? Because that's the umbrella company.
So I was done with NBC years ago when I stopped. I don't have cable. I don't watch TV. I've had streaming for years. You know, almost a decade since I last had cable, and I just seeing Dubai, and you guys have heard me say like I'm going so over it. But like you guys heard me talk about my husband being in the military. When I announced to, oh yeah, Bravo is going to create another show. And of course my reaction was, oh God, but his reaction was where? And when I told him that it was UAE, I was unprepared for the rant. Let me share what happened when the last time my husband went to the UAE. He's been multiple times, but he went the last time. And I told you guys about the makeup of his crews, some white, or about half 50-50. So when they got to Dubai, they were in like a nice hotel. And the whole crew was put into the same hotel, except that when they got there, they were in multiple groups at the hotel. And my husband went and he checked in with the first group. He was not there when the second group checked in, and the second group checked in, and they kind of all went together to protect the female member of the group, thinking Muslim country, we have to protect her. They were not aware that the Black crew members would be treated differently. They were denied accommodations in the hotel. They were denied accommodations in the hotel. The white crew members, and these are all military members, all checking in together, all have military passports, American military IDs. Like, it's very obvious who, they're together. They went in. The white crew members were upgraded had, they were upgraded. They were offered all sorts of perks and accommodations and all these things that don't happen like when you're just a regular person on a business trip. Well, then, the second group of the crew comes in to check in, and they had a couple of members of this particular crew who were Black in that crew, along with the female members of the crew. And as it turns out, being female wasn't a problem. Being Black was a problem. They were denied accommodations. The white crew members got very upset about this. They were then offered accommodations in the hotel, bottom accommodations in the hotel. Like no perks, no nothing. And they were, so you had some being offered top of the line and then others being offered bottom of the line. The only determining factor being skin color. And my husband, he had not been there for this, but obviously these are people who work for him. He outranks them. Like he's their boss, basically. He was so angry and he ranted and ranted and ranted and proceeded to start sharing things with me because he got State Department briefings before any time he had to go to this area of the country. And he started sharing things with me and telling me like what to look up and what to look into. And that's where I started looking into stuff, is based off of that conversation. So like having somebody, in the military be like, they had to protect their crew from staff at a hotel, and because of how they were treated. Having, finding out about like the confiscated passports and taking of people's papers and things like that give them permission to be in the UAE. That's a normal tactic for especially people from West Africa who go to UAE to work, or sorry, not West Africa, West Asia and Southern Africa. They go to UAE to work. And a lot of them, I mean, they don't even have their own birth certificates because they're taken away from you. And if this sounds familiar, that's what the royal family did to Meghan Markle. Yep. They took her paperwork as soon as she got there. So this is like things that I've been aware of. And I literally, so having all of this and then finding out about how the slavery works and operates, not necessarily just in Dubai, but in the other Emirate states, and how the caste system functions, how women are treated. Did you know it's legal to beat your wife in UAE as long as you don't physically mark her body? Did you know that if you're raped and you report it, you'll go to prison for sex outside of marriage? Like stuff like that. That for all of the people that kept saying, well, America is bad. America has this. America has this. I'm like, you know what? There's levels. And there's levels. And this is a whole other level. So that's why I started, like, that's what kind of started my rant this week and me reaching out to Jordan and say, let's do this live. I want to talk about this because I see too many people glossing over it because it's, sure, we can all ignore modern day slavery because, they're going to drink champagne.
You got to remember, it's not in their face. It doesn't affect them. It doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which
but
is why
for
I
me,
was like, well, they better be utilizing this opportunity and their wealth to be trying to make a difference.
No, Jordan, how dare you?
That
That means
happen.
that you said, that means that you're saying that they just shouldn't do the shows. Like, but that's not what I said, though.
Like, I literally said it 5 times. I was like, that was not what I said. That was not what I said. That's not what I meant. But at the end of the day, that is what it is. We're going to be talking about it more because I was asleep for a minute, but I'm back with the jump off. So,
that's okay. I'm going to
with
hang
that
up
being
now.
said, Kristin has to go. Right. That was my
I have
wrap
to
up.
go. I'm so sorry, guys. I love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next live. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
Kristen. I
Make
keep
sure you
saying
guys-
Christian.
Yeah, it's Kristin. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank Kristin for once again being so courageous, being so brave, being so amazing, being so open and forthcoming, and sharing her story, sharing her journey, sharing her perspective with all of us. Because I've been wanting to see this conversation forever, so I'm glad that I got to be the person to curate that conversation. So thank you for trusting me and my platform to be the place where you come and share that story. Thank you, Joanna, Doll Baby, Nakaya, Jesse, Kiki. Thank all of you for calling in and sharing all of your perspectives as well. And I hope that I will see you guys a little later. I did have a live at 6, but I'm gonna push it back like maybe an hour or two to maybe like 7 or 8 because I need to eat and take a break. Maybe a nap.
Yeah.
But um,
We should
but if
do a
I
late
do,
night
I will.
tip, get a drink.
I may do that and just
Yes, I
drink some
can't.
crown
Yeah.
royal with y'all, or
I
like
look
go and
too
get like
cute.
a
Don't go
beer
to
or
bed late.
something. But I may like the latest I would push it back to is like 8, and then stay on to like maybe like 8, like to like 9:30, 10 at the latest.
Okay.
But yeah, I will let you guys know about that in a post. If you see the time of it change, that's why. But thank you guys so much. I love when every single one of you guys call in because every single one of you guys has such a unique and different perspective that teaches us all something. Jesse, thank you for finally catching a damn live. I love
I know.
you.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm trying. Corporate America stinks.
Listen, we could talk about it all day, and whenever you go live, make sure you let me know. Drop the link.
Absolutely.
I will always jump in the chat and support. Drop all
Thank
types
you,
of green
baby.
hearts and triangles. If you want me to call in, I
Yes.
will.
Yes.
So, and that goes for all of you. Kiki, whenever you want me on the damn podcast, you know where to find me.
Okay, you know
Nakaya,
who's
I'm
visiting.
not really good with the natural cleaning products, but we can figure it out. But we can figure it out
We got other stuff to
because
talk about.
T. So I will always shout you out and support, and however I can be of service to your channel, you know
I
where to
know.
find me as
I
well.
know, honey.
Mhm. Thank
But
you so much, Jordan. Mwah, mwah,
I
mwah.
know.
no
Thank
problem at
you.
all, baby.
Yes.
No problem at all, baby. I will see y'all later. But who did I just wait? What just happened? I just missed
Joanna.
somebody.
I dropped out.
Okay.
My
Yeah.
phone.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute, because you were on screen and then you dropped out as I was adding you in, and I was like, wait. Sorry. Now, what I'm gonna do is go around and just let everybody know where they can follow you, where they can subscribe to you, what you want them to buy if you sell stuff, if you sell hair, lashes, natural cleaning products, possibly. Wink, wink, waka waka.
Okay,
And
thank you.
plug all your stuff, plug all your shit. Tell everybody where to find you, because I'm finna plug some chicken tenders in the microwave. Starting with Doll Baby. Go ahead, baby.
Well, honey, you don't have nothing to plug. I'll just be over here kicking it with you. That's it.
Well,
That's
y'all can
all.
catch her here when she calls in.
That's it.
Okay.
That's all. I
All
love you guys,
right.
though.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Doll Baby. Go ahead, Kiki.
Y'all can follow my podcast at Vibrant the series. Vibe, the word vibe, and then the word rant, the series. Y'all can follow me on my socials. IG is all the same. Vibrant underscore TS for the series. Twitter as well. And yeah, I'm gonna be up on my podcast. I already recorded 3 episodes just yesterday. So we're
Hey,
gonna start rolling them on out. And Jordan, you are definitely invited. Anybody else, DM me if you want to
You know
appear on
where
the
to find me,
podcast.
girl.
It's all love. It's all about spirituality, just being open to knowledge,
oh yeah.
embracing ourselves and being unapologetically ourselves and loving ourselves, and celebrating as well. So yeah, that's where y'all can watch me at. And I appreciate this live and thank you for giving Kristen the platform as well. Because it's all about the
Mm-hmm.
platform, honestly.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Man,
it's all love. Bye, y'all. I'm gonna see y'all later.
Bye.
See you
Bye,
later,
love.
baby. Love you.
Mhm.
All right, Joanna, the elected official, the one with all the power in the room, the one who's pressing the buttons and turning the channels to reset the system to challenge my grandma. Clock your references, children. Go ahead, girl.
I'm on everything, but I ain't really super active on number. Facebook is Joanna Shantae. You can add me if you like. You can always catch me on Jordan's channel talking shit.
Period.
Hey, hey.
And that's it. Nothing really to plug. There's this amazing black female owned company that has all natural products that are amazing as fuck. There's a healing oil. The brand is Naturally Divine Products. You can find it online. She has a Facebook page. She has
Send me the link
healing
and I'll drop it in
oil,
the description box.
yoni bar. She has it's
Mm,
a bunch of different stuff, and it all works. Good as fuck.
nice. Drop me the link and I'll throw it right in the description box or in the comments somewhere. I'll find it.
I got you, and I'll see you in a little while. Bye, y'all.
See you
Bye.
later, babes. Naturally, Nikaya, give it up, girl.
Hey y'all. This I can be reached at everywhere. I'm not that active, only just on YouTube, but Instagram Naturally Nikaya, Twitter Naturally Nikaya. Um, I do have a YouTube page or channel, I should say, called Naturally Nikaya. Um, I have lashes, which is chemical free. They don't. I mean, they're vegan. Sorry, chemical free. It's that chemical stuck in my head. And I show my natural products that I use to clean. I'm gonna start bringing out more videos so y'all can see the different ones. I have some vitamins that when you go to the stores, those vitamins are set. They're watered down so they have shelf life. The vitamins I have is pure, um, and they're damn good, y'all. It's a lot of them, but they good. Um, that's pretty much it, Jordan. I just appreciate you. I enjoy this channel. I enjoy all the followers, and I appreciate. I believe it was Dow. Was it Dow Baby? I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember. Someone did
Doll
watch my
baby.
video the other day, or yesterday. So I appreciate that. Mwah, mwah. And you too as well, Jordan. I got your message too. But that's pretty much it. I will see you
Awesome.
later.
Yes, you will, baby. And you already know if you need anything, if you need me to come on the channel, if you need me to drop a link or something, you, you know where to find me.
Oh yeah, I'm plugging you too.
All right. Thank you so much, baby.
Thank you.
Talk to you in a little bit.
Okay, babe. Bye, Jesse.
Bye, honey. Oh, I love it. Her hair looks
Girl.
great in that picture, by the way.
Oh
Her hair
my
looks
God.
great.
Her
It's
hair
so
is
pretty. I can't wear that. I get so jealous because I'm going to sound so stupid here. You guys can wear different color wigs. You can change your look from 1 minute to the next. Like, it makes me so jealous. I just look like this
yeah,
all
girl.
the
I'm trying to
time.
decide if I'm gonna
It's
put her
boring.
back on,
You
child.
feel me? See, you can do that. See, this is it. This is what happens. This is
I would rather have that though because it's like it's less maintenance on me because I know it's not going anywhere. Like I can do
it.
the flat iron, like I'll just flat iron it and do the things of the things and I'll keep it pushing.
Yep.
But like the whole gluing down wigs and maintaining edges and holding it
See, that's
together and
what
making
I
sure it don't go nowhere, like
yeah.
that is exhausting.
How was it not like kill you from like heat exhaustion? Wouldn't you get like so hot too?
No, because
No.
if the wind blows, I'm going to put on a hoodie. So I'm
Okay.
naturally cold natured, so it just keeps the
Gotcha.
rest of my body warm. Like I love
Okay.
wearing like I should be wearing wigs in the wintertime. Instead I shaved my damn head, but
Oh well,
whatever. We'll
whatever.
figure that out once it gets a couple temperatures
Listen,
lower.
when a woman changes her hair, she changes her life. Okay, so you needed it. Do what you do. That's
And
all,
I
boo boo.
child. I need to
You
change my
know that
life
we
right
had that
now.
talk too, huh?
Yes, God.
Yes.
But girl, listen, the reason why I saved you for last, one is because one, it's your first live.
Thank
Two,
you.
I started this with you. Like you're one of the
Yes,
first people,
I
if not the first
know.
person I have ever been
Yes.
brought up with on a panel.
Me as
Like
yes, I was on a Perry Sanders channel like way back in October 2020. But yes, about the housewives, totally. First time I've ever brought up with you. Up
mm,
there, shout out, love you up and Adam, love you down with Jason, love you
love you
boys.
guys.
Yes. So yes, thank you. I know. I was like, it's like, oh, I don't mean to sound so dirty. You popped my stream and cherry.
Ah,
That's what I'm
okay.
saying. Listen, I got vodka, I got orange juice, and I got really naughty tarot cards. You should go take a nap because I gotta do the housewifey stuff, and we should have a date tonight.
I'll be here. I mean, I'll
Yes.
be up. I'm gonna try to keep my social media live if I do it tonight, I might reschedule it just so I can do the live with you, and then just do
Yes.
it tomorrow so I have something to
Okay.
talk about on Sunday.
Oh yes.
So we may just do that instead and just do like a date night tonight and just
Oh
hang
yes.
out.
We'll have some
So
drinks. We'll pick up any topics you want. I got all types of topics, whatever. And then yeah, however you want to do
I'm
it.
down for
I
it.
was like, I actually did my hair and my makeup, so I want to look cute. Let's do this.
I'm down for it. Let me know. Like, send me the link to your channel
Okay.
if you already have the live scheduled and stuff. Send me the link to
No,
that,
I
and
don't. So
then
I'll
I'll
get
post
that
it.
set up. You get rested then. I'll figure all of that out since I'm still noob in it. We
Yeah,
just
just
chit
send me
chatting. Everybody just
once.
sitting here like, oh my God, this is what they're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about how we setting up everything. Like, yes, this is how it works, guys.
Yes.
I noobs.
So like so like when you get the live set up
Mhm.
and scheduled and stuff, send me the link
Okay.
to it and I'll
Oh yes.
post it in my community tab, and then
Mhm.
I'll let them know that I'm gonna move my social media live to tomorrow morning brunch-ish time, maybe
Okay.
early afternoon, and then I'm gonna be there tonight instead of there, so
Okay.
so they can all come to your channel
Yes.
instead of looking for me here.
Okay, boo boo. Yes, thank you. I love you. I love you
Anytime,
so.
baby.
You
Listen,
were
we
you were
OGs in this
you
thing.
were like my soul sister. Like you were like, you know what I mean? Like I'm
We saw each
totally
other.
yes, boo. Like queen recognized queen. You feel me?
Yes,
Like just
God, honey, you wanna say
oh
that shit?
God. Like I just, like I got you. I pick it up. I feel it. You don't even have to say it. You feel me? I
I'm
get
here
it.
for it.
Thank you.
So I thank you so much because I'm glad that I found you again. I've been missing you. I'm so glad that we reconnected.
Yes.
And let's keep it going, girl. I'll be on your channel
Absolutely. I'll try
tonight.
and make more time for this. It's just hard because I commute a lot. My job's
Yeah,
far.
girl,
It's
you
like an
working, girl.
hour in
You
the
got a real
morning,
job.
hour and a half in the evening, sometimes depending on traffic. Because, if anybody knows the Tampa Bay area, it's the hugest suburb with the biggest, worst traffic on the planet.
I've heard because I have a
Mm.
girl, like my sister lives in
We should all wear bonnets.
Orlando.
Yeah, look at Joanna. We should all wear bonnets. I'll wear my flower one.
I don't think I have my bonnet with me, but I think I got a scarf or a bandana or something. I'll wrap my head up with something, child. I probably got a do rag in the car, so I'll figure it out.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like we are literally like Jesse is the first person who I've ever been brought up with, so I had to like make sure that I do like a special highlight, and like that's like Jesse is one of the only people that I would cancel a fucking live for,
You,
like. I have stopped
You don't make me
filming
cry.
and
Don't get me
editing
all
videos.
emotional on live. I did
Listen,
makeup.
I
It's
have
not
stopped.
waterproof, okay? I'm like Erica Jane. It's
Listen,
not waterproof.
so we not gonna call her makeup artist for advice.
You feel me?
But listen, well, girl, mine is gonna be green, Dita, but it's okay.
Hmm.
But I I have stopped filming and editing for Adam and Jason because I love them dearly. I will always support them. Kempire
Yeah.
too. I would drop everything to call into their channels, right?
Yes.
You're one of those people because we started in this panel game thing together. Like, girl, I
Yeah.
will cancel a live for you, girl. It's
And I
fine.
will
Like
do it
I'm
for
just talking
you.
about how social media is
Yes.
the fucking devil.
Yes,
That's
it
it.
is. Yes,
So if we're
baby.
gonna talk about social
The
media
good,
being
bad, the
the
ugly. It's
devil, then we
all
may do it
there.
on right. So if we're gonna talk about it being Satan, then we may as well do it on Sunday. So it's all
Yes,
good.
honey. Devil in a blue dress.
Honey,
Wear your
honey.
Sunday's best.
Yes, but tell them all where they can find you, where to look you up now so they can
Okay.
subscribe to you now. And then when you're
Yes.
ready, drop me the link and then I'll
Yes.
post a community tab about it.
Okay, baby. Okay. So you can find me at Fae Tarot. My name is Jessie. I'm going to give you some fierce, feisty, clear, concise, compassionate guidance and help you be your best self because that is me being my best self. So thank you for that opportunity. So don't forget to hit me up, Fae Tarot, across all platforms. And I can't do it without anybody but my boy Jordan. I love you. Mwah.
Talk your shit, honey.
Yes, girl.
Yes.
I've been practicing for you.
I love you, baby. Thank
I
you
love
so
you.
much.
Okay,
I
baby.
will see you soon. Let me know as soon as
Yes.
you schedule the live and I will
Mm-hmm.
post a tab about it.
Okay, honey. Give me about 20 minutes and we'll get this all kicking. Okay.
All
Thank
right,
you,
baby. Cool.
guys. Love you guys. See you soon.
See you soon,
Bye,
baby.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you guys so much, y'all. This has been an amazing time. We have learned, we have laughed, we have cried, we have related, we have talked about everything from subconscious prejudices to inherent prejudices to black hair to all the things of the things. And I hope that we got everything that we needed out of this conversation. But that does not mean that the conversation is over because this is going to be an ever evolving subject and an ever evolving topic. And there's always going to be different types of examples and things and all of the things that we can talk about regarding this subject. So we're going to do a part two at some point. I'm sure we're going to be bringing this up in accordance to Housewives and different reality shows and all the things of the things. So I want to thank every single one of you guys for tuning in. All of the guys that hung out with me for the full 3.25 hours. Thank you guys so much. You guys have been amazing. I'm gonna be over on Fae Tarot's channel tonight with my girl Jessie. So make sure you guys subscribe there. I'm gonna drop the link to her channel in my description box and then look on my community tab to see when we'll be live. I want to thank all of the moderators who come through and do all of the amazing things. Thank you, Rosemary. Thank you, Marae. Thank you, Diana, Kiki. I don't even know if Kiki is a moderator, but she moderates very well. Thank you to all of you guys. Y'all are so amazing and y'all help me be a better me. I appreciate all of you so much for being here. So, all of the mods, I didn't name all of you, but those are the ones that I consistently see in the chat. So you're always the ones that I think of off at the top of my head. Rosemary, Marae, Diana, Kiki, y'all are all great. Um, Thank you guys so much. I love you guys. I will talk to you guys soon. I will be over on Tarot, Fae Tarot's channel. I always want to say Fae Jessie because I think that was her original channel name. But yes, thank you guys so much. Yes, Kiki is a mod. Good, because she's good at it. Thank you guys so much. I'm about to hop off of here, go get something to eat. I'm gonna go pee, and then I'm gonna get ready and get sexy for tonight. I don't know what that means because I'm probably going to be wearing this, but it's all good. Love you guys so much, and I'll see you in a little bit. Bye, baby gorgeous. Mwah. And Ryan, slide in my DMs too because I'm single now. So hit me